Introductions underway at Riverfront Stadium. Let's listen. Just about ready to tee it up in Cincinnati. The winner gets the survivor of tomorrow's Buffalo-Houston battle. We'll turn it over to Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen right after these messages. In the meantime, for Coach Don Shula and for Gail Gardner, I'm Bob Costas. Thanks for being with us for this edition of NFL Live. We'll be joined by Frank DeFord, Paul McGuire, and the coach will be back with us at halftime. Hope to see you then. Enjoy the game, everybody.
Come home to the best in college football when Syracuse battles LSU at the Hall of Fame Bowl. Championship Monday. The best bowls are on NBC.
Grow with us with the health plan. You can grow with us.
Monday, January 2nd, Chris Miller Furniture is celebrating with a gigantic 6-hour New Year's sale. Yes, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., every item in every department will be sacrificed at unbelievable sale prices. Save up to 75% at Chris Miller Furniture Monday only. Save 10% more just for buying Monday. In addition, take 2 years to pay with no finance charge and no down payment, and no payments till April. That's Monday only, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., only at Chris Miller Furniture in downtown Wheeling.
Every person in this room has a motive for murder.
What do you mean, murder?
Could it be Eileen Brennan, Michael McKean, Martin Mull, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Leslie Ann Warren, or did Tim Curry, the butler, do it?
No.
Find out in the murderously funny movie complete with 3 surprise endings.
The body's gone, huh?
Clue.
New Year's Day at 4 on TV 9. The Power of Three's Company. Weekdays at 4:30 on TV 9.
The National Broadcasting Company presents the National Football League. Today, from Riverfront Stadium, it's the AFC Divisional Playoff. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Brought to you by Budweiser and Bud Light, who'll also bring you Bud Bowl 1 coming January 22nd on NBC. And by Mazda Cars and Trucks, including the all-new Mazda MPV.
Coming into the playoffs, no NFL passer is hotter than number 17, Seattle's Dave Craig. And what a target for Craig, the NFL's all-time receiver, Steve Largent. Cincinnati's number 7, Boomer Esiason, is the NFL's Player of the Year. Cocky and charismatic and blessed with the likes of Pro Bowler number 81, Eddie Brown. No NFL receiver gained more yards than Brown. Injured in the season's finale, Seattle's top rusher, Kurt Warner, says his ankle is 100%. He's ready to go today. Good news for the Seahawks. And Cincinnati rookie Elbert Ickey Woods, like Warner, a 1,000-yard rusher this year, is one of the major reasons the Bengals are 8-0 at home. And favorite Cincinnati has been practicing for the Super Bowl dance. First, they must shuffle past Seattle. And there are 55,000 partners at Riverfront Stadium on the banks of the Ohio River, ready to start an early New Year's celebration in this bicentennial year for the Cincinnatians. And Seattle, a touchdown underdog, hopes to turn Cincinnati's champagne flat. 43 degrees. It is getting cooler over now gray skies here in southern Ohio. And we know about the home field advantage. The Chicago Bears have beaten the Philadelphia Eagles 20-12. They're in the Super Bowl semifinals. The winner of this one will advance, and you can start to feel the tension and drama building.
Dick, there's no fog moving in here. It's
No,
getting a little dark, but I think we're all right. I love the excitement of this kind of game. And this time of day with the temperature dropping, the knees ache a little bit. Sometimes I ask myself, is it worth it? But in a game like this, the Super Bowl and that Super Bowl ring just a reach away, I'd go right back down there and do it again, believe me, every bit of it.
Well, you can hear the roar in the background. The Bengals have won the toss. The coin will get the ball first, and they love the offense here. It's the best in the NFL, and indeed, we were guilty in premiering the players in this game. They were all offensive players, but you have an eye for the defense.
Well, I have to have an eye, and the variable is going to be on the defense today. There's no question about it. Both these defenses have given up big chunks of yardage. Both are vulnerable to the run. I just have a feeling that one of these defenses is going to step up and take charge today, force some turnovers, and in the process, deliver this ball game into one hand or the other.
In the NFL rankings this year, both Seattle and Cincinnati rated in the bottom half defensively, but the Bengals have a giant in the center of their defense.
You heard Don Shula talk about him earlier. Tim Crumry, the finest nose tackle in football. There's no question Blair Bush, who plays center for the Seahawks, has the toughest job on the field today, and how he handles Crumry may be the most important job there is.
We'll talk about the special teams, and that's where Seattle excels later. And Rufus Porter is the only member of the Seahawks to make the Pro Bowl, and that is somewhat symbolic of Chuck Knox's team. Here's a team that won the AFC West, one Pro Bowler, voted by the players and coaches around the league, and Chuck Knox in his 11th playoff series. He's been in 18 playoff games, and his team is a touchdown underdog. And this kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Stanford Jennings and Ira Hillary are the deep men for the black jerseyed Cincinnati Bengals as Norm Johnson gets it underway. He sends it inside the 5 to Hillary. And Hillary met at the 15-yard line, and immediately the special team strength of the Seahawks is felt. Boomer Esiason comes on the field, the NFL MVP, voted by the Associated Press. James Brooks, a great running back. He's on his way to the Pro Bowl. Ickey Woods is not a fine rookie. Tim McGee is not, but Eddie Brown, Rodney Holman, all the men in white are on their way to the Pro Bowl. As are Anthony Munoz and Max Montoya, big offensive linemen, who team with Reimers, Kozierski, and Blados. Blados for the injured Joe Walter at right tackle. That could be a key. Ickey Woods for a couple. Darren Como, acquired on waivers from the 49ers this year, number 53, spearheaded the charge. He's actually playing in Brian Bosworth's linebacker spot. Green, Nash, and Bryant, the veteran defensive line. No huddle by the Bengals. Schultz, Como, Wyman, and Woods are the linebackers. And the back four, Taylor and Jennings at the corners. Paul Moyer and Eugene Robinson, the safety man. Robinson at free safety leads in tackles. Second down and 8. Esiason's first throw underneath to Woods. He fumbled the ball. No, incomplete. Did not have control. Woods, who caught 21 balls during the year, has good hands. This 232-pound rookie from University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
This is what Sam White calls the attack offense. There's no huddle. The team will just come out, get over the ball, and get ready. And it looks like a Seahawk is down. Possibly Nash, the nose tackle. Boy, that would be a big loss for this team if it is Joe Nash.
And we'll sort out who the injured player is when we return. It is 72 Joe Nash. They are not deep at that position. An early timeout in Cincinnati.
Football fans, get ready for the battle of the century. As unbeaten Budweiser takes on undefeated Bud Light. It's Bud versus Bud Light in Bud Bowl 1. Pick up your official scorecard wherever you see this display.
Bud, super idea. You see the neck on that guy?
Use it to follow the action and you could win. So get ready, get set. On January 22nd, Bud Bowl 1. This time, it's for real. The
drive is on. Mazda's year-end sales drive. It's already the biggest sales year in Mazda's history, but your Mazda dealer wants to end it on an even higher note with special incentives that can save you hundreds on the world's #1 selling sports car, Mazda RX-7. Get to your Mazda dealer's year-end sales drive and drive one home today. The year-end sales drive ends soon. See your local Mazda dealer now.
Leave it to the good hands, people.
Compassion. You can't teach it or place too great a value on it. But you could measure it down this very road on the morning of June 23rd. In the actions of Allstate Claims Adjuster Don Mulder, who at 5 a.m. drove 60 miles to a fire site, all just to shorten the distance between a man's loss and a man's recovery. People like Don Mulder. Another reason.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Veteran Ken Clark, acquired on waivers from the Eagles, has replaced Joe Nash at that nose tackle position. 3rd down, 8 Cincinnati. No word yet on Nash's injury or how serious it may be. Esiason from the shotgun. Seahawks are offside. Esiason on the scramble. Big guy can run. He's to the 24-yard line. 8 yards, and that'll be close to a 1st down. You can see his rushing yardage, nearly 250,000, 248. Red Cash and the referee motions 1st down.
Offsides. Number 67 on the defense. Still 3rd down.
The man who replaced Joe Nash is offside.
Well, he was really the second man to jump. Jacob Green had jumped at the top and triggered the motion inside. Awfully hard to stop when somebody has jumped outside, and Clark, who'd come off the bench cold, just trying to do his job. They still tried to stay in that 4-man line as they are now. And Clark, although he's getting a little long in the tooth, still plays the run very well.
He takes a penalty. It's 3rd down and 3. No one open now. Back across to Collinsworth. And Wyman, the linebacker, gets him out of bounds at the Seattle 48. Well, that was a play that Coach Don Shula talked about, that Esiason can throw back across the field. He's got a gun. Collinsworth with the Cats comes out limping.
They'll come right to the line, and they'll go without a huddle. We'll have to be careful, but you've got to realize that what happened here is there's no pressure. Look how long he can stand with the ball. No quarterback in football will stand in there longer than Boomer Esiason, and he delivers the football after all of that time for the 1st down to Chris Hollingsworth.
Esiason flying down as Rodney Holman, the tight end, bumped out of bounds by Tony Woods. Blocking by Stanley Wilson, 32, losing his hat in the process.
Dick Weiler sorting out this penalty. Let's talk about this attack offense and what it does to Tom Catlin's defense. When they get on the field and line up in position, as they do, they force the defense to align as they are going to play defensively. And then they have to stand there and wait in position.
Illegal motion by the offense. We've got 12 men on the field by the defense. Offset, we'll replay 1st down.
Defensive coordinator Tom Catlin sending in the signals. He's been a Chuck Knox ally for many years in Buffalo, going back to the Los Angeles Rams, and your coach.
Well, he certainly has. And, of course, one of the frustrations for Catlin, his nickel package, those extra defensive backs, one of the most important strengths of the defense. And when they're lined up like this, they're waiting for you to send someone on. So we have 12 people on the field. They snap the football as they did there, and you've got a penalty.
Vernon Dean, the veteran, acquired from the Redskins, is in charge when they're bringing on the nickel package. He's the man that's watching the other sidelines, and if they snap too soon, it's his responsibility to get the substitutes off the field in a hurry. So it's 1st and 10. James Brooks met firmly by Ken Clark as he tried to cut inside. Clark from Syracuse, and was the Eagles' most valuable defensive player in 1984.
The thing that fascinates me about this attack offense is that Boomer Esiason has developed a whole language. They have a whole new language. He communicates, calls the play, calls the formation, calls the snap count. It's like speaking some foreign tongue, which he does standing right at the line. And look at how long the defense has to sit there in position. The offense will take their time and finally make the snap when they want to go.
Second down and 8. Wide open is Brown. Eddie Brown. He was down, ruled down at the 24-yard line, first down. Coleman recovered anyway. Eugene Robinson, who leads the Seahawks in tackles from his free safety position, made the hit.
Chance to watch Eugene Robinson at the top of your screen, number 41, and there's Eddie Brown all by himself, finding the hole in the zone.
Brown, one of the great receivers out of the University of Miami. Bernie Kosar was his collegiate quarterback. He's had a banner year, leading Cincinnati in catches, leading the NFL in yardage. 1,273 yards, first down. Bengals are driving toward an early score, and James Brooks knifes into the 18. David Wyman, 92, and others for the stop. Well, one of the great trades in the NFL, James Brooks, coming here from the San Diego Chargers in exchange for Pete Johnson, the big fullback. Johnson played only 3 games in San Diego. Brooks has been an all-star in Cincinnati. There again, make them wait.
And they're waiting in position. You can't believe how tiring it is to get down in your stance and have to be ready to go and then have to sit there for such a long time.
Ickey Woods outside, the big fullback is to the 11-yard line and a first down.
Ickey Woods, almost a big halfback rather than a fullback. He is just as comfortable outside as he is inside, an unusual trait for a fullback. And it's Ickey Woods who's been the big man over the last few weeks. Look at that yardage and that average per carry.
Play action to Brooks. As Jonathan has his pocket break down, but they still can't get to him. He finally throws over the head of Tim McGee. Boy, that's a credit to the Seahawk deep defense to give the Boomer that much time, and he couldn't find an open man.
One of the weaknesses of this Hawk defense throughout the season, pressure on the quarterback. They only have 30 sacks on the season, and they went through a period of 7 games when they only got 2 sacks. So they have not been able to generate the kind of pressure they want to. And, boy, you give Esiason that kind of time, you can't cover those kind of receivers, Dick.
That Seattle defense isn't very big, especially up front, is it?
Well, and they're taking some hammering right now. They give away a lot of weight. The other thing we've got to take a look at is the change in there. Brian Blados in place of Joe Walter. So far, it looks like Blados doing a fine job.
Ickey Woods diving to the goal line is stopped right at the 1. Eugene Robinson saved the touchdown, and inches away from his dance is Ickey Woods.
We just talked about Brian Blados, and it's right behind Blados and Holman, the tight end, that you're getting the run on that play. And you see Blados driving Jacob Green to the outside. And Green had committed himself to the outside early. Left-hand side of your screen, look how Green is driven outside, and Ickey Woods just cuts back against the grain to pick up the big yardage.
Ball is inside the 1-yard line. Woods tripped up for a loss in the backfield by Melvin Jenkins, who has come home to play today. Star at the University of Cincinnati, not drafted, went to the Canadian Football League, where he drew some attention for his great defensive play, and then signed by Seattle.
Shoestring tackle. How could it be more properly illustrated than this? Right on the shoestrings, and just enough to put him on the ground.
That's where you cut down the big trees. Little guy against the big guy. You don't want to go high. Second and goal from the 3. Stanley Wilson, touchdown. Wilson from Oklahoma scored a couple of touchdowns during the regular season. He gets Cincinnati on the board first.
In behind the block by number 30, Ickey Woods. Over the top of David Wyman. The Bengals flex their muscle up front early.
Jim Breaks tries the point after. The little kicker from the University of California. And the Bengals lead 7-0. Nearly 6 minutes gone. Opening quarter, Cincinnati 7, Seattle nothing. The Bengals jump in front 7-0. A very impressive 85-yard drive in 11 plays. 2 passes by Esiason, a 30-yarder to Collinsworth, and a 23-yard completion to Eddie Brown.
Talking to Steve Moore, the offensive coordinator for Seattle, and to Dave Craig, they realized that this was not going to be a low-scoring game. Their response now offensively, very, very important for Seattle.
Deep to return, Lee Johnson's kickoff. Bobby Joe Edmonds on the near side, and Kevin Harmon, the rookie from Iowa, on the far side. It goes to Harmon at the 4. Oh, he almost got through the wedge.
We talked
at the 30-yard line. Excuse me, Merle.
Sorry, Dick. We talked about the great blocking. Brian Blados in for Joe Walder. Watch how he blocks on Jacob Green and seals off Joe Nash to the inside. Good block, Ickey Woods, and the touchdown right here into the end zone.
This crowd making it difficult on Dave Craig, the Seattle quarterback. He has Williams and Warner behind him. That's Steve Largent in motion. Williams. Maybe a yard. Joe Kelly, who played at the University of Washington. The Seahawks line up this way to start the game offensively. Craig, who is red hot. Warner, 1,000-yard runner again. John L. Williams can catch it, can block it, and can run it. Blades, a brilliant rookie from Miami. Largent, the veteran, and Mike Tice, the tight end. Mattis, Bailey, Bush, Millard, and Wilson, the offensive line. Bush and Wilson were starters 7 years ago on Cincinnati's Super Bowl team. 2nd and 9. Wide open is Largent, and he's out of bounds. Billups got him after a first down at the 44. A dozen for Largent.
Talked to Steve Largent in the locker room just moments before the game, and he's had real trouble with the nerve in his foot. And he said it's shooting and horrible pains up through that foot, but he said the week's layoff has helped him. He also has a thumb that he has to strap down to keep from coming out of joint.
And we wonder if this is the last time, should Seattle not win today, that we'll see this great player from Tulsa and an outstanding man. Seattle gets a first down at their 44. Williams, it looks as if he wants to pass, but doesn't, and has to eat it for a 4-yard loss. Jason Buck, number 99, celebrates.
Well, it looks like Tim Krumrie is playing defensive linebacker here. Look, he's looking back. You got it, guys? You know what we're going to do here? Okay, I'll do my job. You do yours. Boy, look at that inside-out shot. Pushes Blair Bush away, gets great separation. Most nose tackles play in a phone booth, Dick. He plays sideline to sideline.
Sam White said he's the kind of guy who could have played when they didn't wear helmets. He's a man for all football seasons. John Spagnola, second tight end in. Craig underneath, knocked away. Number 51, Leon White, got in the way, and it appeared there was some real running room for Spagnola, the tight end. Let's look at that Bengal defense. They have a couple on that defensive side that'll show up in white graphically that'll be on their way to the Pro Bowl, including Crumry, who leads in tackles. Scow and Buck, two young defensive ends. White, Xander, Kelly, and the veteran Reggie Williams, an underrated linebacking core. Billups and Thomas at the corner. Thomas had 7 interceptions. David Fulcher, the big, strong safety, and Solomon Wilcox is the free safety. 3rd and 14 play. Craig going deep for Largent. Broken up by Eric Thomas. And it was Crumry putting on some pressure again.
Number 69, the middle of your screen, blowing right through the blocking of Blair Bush to get the heat on Dave Craig, and Seattle's first series ends up very quickly in a deflection away from Steve Largent.
Boy, terrific coverage by both corners, Thomas and Billups. Ruben Rodriguez, who was second in the league in net punting, 37.8 yards. And Mike Moran, who goes to the Pro Bowl, the Denver kicker. Nice boot down to the 14. Hillary into the open field and tripped up at the 31. Tommy Agee and M.L. Johnson making the tackle. Timeout in Cincinnati, and the Bengals are growling early.
Alex will now do his famous dog impersonation. Ready, Alex?
Rin Tin Tin. Right.
Hey, look at this.
Benji. Stroh-Lite. Fire brewed for smooth, consistent taste. Who's that?
Beats me.
America's leading consumer products rating service says one battery, Megatron 34 from Interstate, tested best. It ran circles around better-known brands and won by a mile. Megatron 34 from Interstate. Ask for it.
You know we're gonna be there, don't think twice. Service is part of our name. We're a part of your country, a part of your town, and no one else does it the same. We deliver, we deliver. It's the reason you trust us. You know that we're gonna come through with your customer service. We deliver for you. Come in. We deliver for you.
Today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Rufus Porter right here, and what he is supposed to do is go down and force the play on Ira Hillary. And here in this situation, it works against Seattle. He forces Ira Hillary out of what was expected to be his route, and Hillary found more room outside. But that's the kind of play that has helped Rufus Porter to 18 solo tackles and 4 assists on the year.
7 minutes to play, first quarter, 7-0 Cincinnati. It's Esiason on the roll. He's going to run it. Lots of room, and he slides in under Darren Como with a first down.
Esiason is also one of those players that I think wouldn't have minded playing without a helmet, Dick. He likes it rough. He likes it in the grass and the mud even more than he does on the plastic field like this. Not afraid to use his body and has excellent speed for a big man. At 6'5", 220 pounds, he really gets up the field well.
And he knows how to baseball slide. He was a fine pitcher in high school, went 15-0. In fact, he, as a gimmick, tried out with the Brewers last spring when he was down in the Phoenix area. They were impressed with his left-handed fastball. Yeah, Seattle not impressed with that play as they are able to stack up with Jacob Green and Bruce Schultz. Dickie Woods, the fullback.
They have punched in several big plays right over Jacob Green, and Jacob finally saying, look, you could come and get me a couple of times, but it's not going to work every time, as he made a fine play on that last run.
A couple of yards lost. No huddle by Cincinnati. The innovative Sam White, young coach of the Bengals, going to put pressure on the defenses with his system. Underneath, incomplete. James Brooks, the intended receiver. Esiason with eyes in the back of his head, getting rid of it just in time.
And here's an interesting ploy by Seattle. You've got to give Seattle time if they have an injured player. Now, this might be shades of feigning Frank Veracchione of Notre Dame. Is that player injured, or are they just waiting for a timeout? That's Nash again. Now, it is Nash again, and he was hurt earlier in the game. They're looking at his leg. But that is a legitimate way, or perhaps an illegitimate way, to get the clock stopped and allow your substitutes on the field. They're looking at Nash's knee, his right knee. That is not good news.
Sam White, and he, I would guess, is thinking as you are, Merlin Olsen, a man who is clever, the magician. He likes amateur prestidigitation. He wants to be a step ahead of the rest of the league, and he certainly has shown that he has his own form of genius. It wasn't that popular last year, however, but suddenly they like it when you win.
Well, the number 4 is very big for these Bengals. Last year it was 4 wins. This year it's 4 losses. And Sam, of course, with that, that's a W signal. That's a signal for a certain series of substitutions. And they'll use several signals to tell people on the field who should come off, and, of course, to tell people on the sideline who is going in. That's a W signal. 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a tight end.
It'll be 3rd down and between 11 and 12 as he sends Collinsworth and McGee to the right, Hillary and Brown to the opposite side. 4 wide receivers, shotgun Esiason. Throwing long for McGee. Robinson got his hands on it for Seattle. So the Bengals, who marched right down the field with the opening kickoff to score a touchdown, unable to move it this time, will have to punt.
I think I'd have been in trouble if I'd have been on the sideline. The W signal is 3 fingers up. That 4 fingers is for 4 wides, as you saw them on the field. And let's see what happened to that ball. It looked like Eugene Robinson had it momentarily. Well, he did get it into those gloves for just a second, but couldn't hang on to it.
Bengals and their fans might have rooted for that interception. That would have been as good as any kick that you might expect from Lee Johnson. Happy Joe Edmonds at the other end.
Good kick.
Edmonds at the 14. And gets to the 20, and that's all. Leo Barker downfield to make the tackle for the Bengals. Timeout. 5:23 remaining in the opening period. Seattle trails 7-0 with 5:23 left. First quarter. And Kurt Warner gets his first call and picks up nearly 4. Jim Scow down at the bottom of the pile for the Bengals.
Word from the sideline that Joe Nash's knee will not keep him out of the game, and if he keeps going in and out with this knee, they'll give new definition to the word trick knee, because there's Joe Nash. He is the guy, by the way, who has to come on and off the field. They like to substitute for him in pass rushing situations, and it might be that they have decided that they are going to take advantage of the rules, much as Sam White has taken advantage of the rules with the attack offense.
Blitz. Craig to Williams. What a fine throw and reception to the 32-yard line. The fans love the bomb no matter where you go. You like that 50-yard completion. But in many ways, it's like a beautiful double play when you get that perfect, quick hitting pass to a back who catches it on the run, not losing a stride. And this is a good example.
Dave Craig, sitting out 7 ball games with a separated shoulder, said the one thing that he really learned by watching is how important it is to pick up positive yardage, to keep that ball moving down the field in chunks, but to keep it moving above all.
Craig second to Esiason in the NFL quarterback ratings this year is 2 for 4. On first down, Williams and his namesake Reggie Williams coming in on a blitz, and David Fulcher as well.
David Fulcher at points in the season got up to about 245 pounds. In fact, they wouldn't put him on the scale at one point because he weighed more than Jim Scow. He is a big linebacker playing in the secondary, a major force. And I'll tell you, if you watch these Seahawks over the years and watch Kenny Easley, you see a lot of Kenny Easley in David Fulcher.
They say, thank goodness he's not a mean man. He's a nice guy. On second down and 9, Craig going long. Intercepted by Eric Thomas. And he's down at the 25-yard line by Largent. Thomas, who led the Bengals this year with 7 interceptions.
When people talk about Eric Thomas, they talk about one characteristic that makes him special as a defensive back. The ability to close on the football, to shift into an extra gear. You'll get a feeling for that here as the ball is thrown, I think really thrown away by Craig. He thinks he's going to get it out of everyone's reach. No chance here as Thomas just kicks it into an extra gear and pulls it down.
And the Bengals, without a huddle, go right to work, and Rodney Holman on the completion from Esiason is out to the 41, 42-yard line. Como and Wyman make the tackle.
When the Bengals have a turnover like that, they immediately go to snake eyes, put the fingers up, and they say, we've bit him once, let's bite him again. No huddle, they come right out of the field and try and catch the defense as they did. Even caught us a little bit with that quick play.
Esiason again yelling out the play call in that complicated Bengal system. First down. Hillary in motion. Brooks. All the way to the 38-yard line. "26 yards for James Brooks."
Brooks is a marvel. The ability to find that opening, and so very dangerous in the open field.
He was second to Woods this year with 931 yards. Both Woods and Brooks averaged over 5 yards a carry. That'll tell you about that offensive line and the talent on this team. And here's Woods, who averaged 5.3 a carry this season.
We talk about a running back's eyes and the ability to find the hole. This is one play ago, the big play by Brooks. Look at him, just a small opening, but he just explodes through that hole. And once into the open, you see the great acceleration and good strength for a small back.
Not very big, 182 pounds. He's been in the league 8 years. Doesn't appear he's lost a hair off his speed. He can still go. Second and 5. Second string tight end Riggs in motion. Boy, and Woods wants it and has it. A first down at the 26. A reminder, we'll have our Budweiser Most Valuable Player at the conclusion of today's game.
All right, there they are, the NFL's most productive tandem, Ricky Woods and James Brooks.
That's running the football, catching. They've piled up the yards this year, well over the 2,000 mark. Leading 7-0. And the Bengals at the Seattle 26 in the final seconds of the first quarter. The top offense in the National Football League showing Seattle just that in the first 15-minute test. The Bengals have dominated. The score 7-0. We go to the second quarter. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. The Bears have beaten the Eagles 20-12. They're into the Final Four in this NFL playoff. The statistics in the first quarter really showing how Cincinnati owned the football. And they have it first down at the Seahawks 26-yard line, leading 7-0. You almost sense that Seattle needs a turnover to really get themselves back emotionally and physically into this game. And it came close as Schultz, leaping out in front of that ball, almost picked it off, and there was clear sailing downfield for the former star at the University of Texas.
We talked about Brian Blados. Here he is in the offensive line, and they put Holman, the tight end, right next to him so that there's not a lot of room for Jacob Green outside. The other thing that they will do to protect him is to slide all of the offensive linemen this way so that there's not a lot of room for the defense on the outside.
Brooks finding a hole again. Using it side to side, quick stepping his way until he saw some daylight, and finally it opened. Option running by Brooks, who is down inside the 20-yard line, a gain of 9. It'll be 3rd and 1.
Offense forcing Seattle to call all of their defenses audibly. Because they're not able to substitute freely, they're playing fewer defensive formations today.
Call it an 8-yard gain, 3rd and a short 2. Brooks has a first down at the 15-yard line, and then just when it appeared he was ready to spurt all the way for the touchdown, he's nailed.
Fine play inside, and there's the W. That's the 3 fingers. That's 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. Unlike the 4 fingers, which is 4 wides. I'd have had trouble out there if I was trying to react to all those signals. And remember, that's a substitution signal. That's not the play signal. That's just the substitution signal.
Veteran 56-year-old coach who played at Juniata, Pennsylvania. They've named the football field after him, Chuck Knox. He's defensive-minded. He's an emotional man, and he's going to need something special now. Trailing 7-0.
They need a turnover is what they need, Dick.
Play action, Boomer. Complete to the tight end, Holman, inside the 10. Eugene Robinson, who has led the Seahawks in tackles this year and has carried that through in the early part of this game. He's making tackle after tackle. Makes the stop after about a 9-yard pickup.
Rodney Holman making his first trip to the Pro Bowl. And all-around tight end. He'll block for you. He'll catch the football. He'll do whatever you ask him to do. He's been a force on this team for a number of seasons and getting the recognition he deserves this year with a trip to the Pro Bowl.
Played with the Green Wave of Tulane, now in his 7th year here in Cincinnati. This is a pick-them-apart situation for Boomer, 2nd and 1. Ickey Woods twisting and turning for the first down. He's inside the 5.
I think that ball may have been loose unless they rule him down.
And how critical this call could be. They're saying he was down. Cincinnati, 1st and goal.
It looked momentarily like a dangerous situation. You get a ball carrier stood up like this and strip at that football, and Seattle is very good at that. No, boy, that's just a mass of bodies in there. The ball, as you will see, coming loose. They said it was after. There it is. He hits the ground first. One of the Seahawks scooping it up. But the ball ruled down. It's 1st and goal, 4-yard line.
And they spot it on the 3. And timeout, Esiason. They were down to 1 second on the 45-second clock, so Esiason no time to make the play call, and with 11:41 left in the half, Cincinnati threatens for more. 1st and goal for the Bengals, leading 7-0, ball at the 3. Stanley Wilson has a pair of touchdowns. It's for 13-0. First quarter, Wilson from 3, touchdown. Second quarter, Wilson from 3, touchdown.
Running right in behind big Anthony Munoz. And Munoz driving Jeff Bryant, number 77, off the ball. And look at how many Seahawks are driven off the ball. Boy, they're just relocating the defense for that big offensive line.
Breaches tried for point. 14-0 Cincinnati. 11:35 remaining in the first half. And the Bengals are biting hard. Early here in the jungle, Riverfront Stadium, and the one statistic that this first half has reflected most of all: #1 offense, Cincinnati; #24 defense, Seattle.
Well, the Seahawks hoped that they could rise to the occasion defensively. They did it on several occasions against the Raiders last week with 3 goal line stands, although they did give up 37 points, and they're not off to a good start. But we have not seen the Seahawk offense yet in this ball game either. And Craig and his crew have to get things cooking here before they find themselves totally out of this ball game.
The kickoff by Breach Johnson is a good one, deep to Edmonds. Take it out anyway, and he won't make it to the 20.
Big Anthony Munoz right here, and watch him attack inside along with Riggs, the second tight end. And look what happens as they just drive off like a couple of tractor trailers there and just push that whole side of the line for Seattle back, making room for the touchdown.
Darrell Smith made the hit on the kick return. Seattle down 14-0, 11.5 minutes remaining, first half. Williams again, right on the money from Craig, out to the 24-yard line. Solomon Wolcott with the tackle. Williams led the Seahawks in receiving. That's the first time in more than 12 straight years it was Largent. This year it was Williams, #1.
There are an awful lot of mistakes in the Pro Bowl voting, but I got to say that this man should have been in the Pro Bowl. And they don't differentiate between running backs and fullbacks. If you choose a fullback, and you should, who's going to block for those running backs? Otherwise, you got to choose John L. Williams and put him in the Pro Bowl.
Second down and 2. Warner can't get around the corner, and flags are down. David Fulcher shutting off the corner.
And in spite of what Kurt Warner told us about being 100%, he does not look like he's 100% today. Let's take a peek and see what happens over there on the left side of Seattle's line. Boy, they're just getting driven off the ball, and that's Fulcher. We said he had linebacker size. He's also psyched up today.
Holding against Tice is declined. They'll take the loss back at the 17-yard line. Seahawks unable to advance the ball on the ground against this Bengal defense. And now face third down and 10+. They lost the 8 yards they gained on the pass to Williams. Largent can't grab it. Hit the ground. And the Bengal fans love their defense. They love it all so far. Largent, who has battled through a very tough season. He's going to have an operation on his foot, an operation on his hand. He's just never been healthy. He had a concussion early when hit by Mike Harden of the Denver Broncos, and he's hurt again.
This play the ball had to be thrown quickly because of the blitz. You see them coming, Horton and Wilcox, and Largent may have taken that ball on his thumb, but it's the hit afterwards that rolled him onto his shoulder. Looks like he rolled that left shoulder under, and that's exactly the way that Dave Craig was hurt when Lee Williams sacked him in the San Diego game earlier in the year, put him out for 7 weeks. Very often the cushion here is not great, and let's see if it is perhaps that shoulder rolling underneath as he is crunched by Ricky Dixon, number 29. No, it's not Dixon. Is it Bussey? Who is it? Fulcher.
You know, the shame of that, we've heard all about the inadvertent whistles and the whistles we hear or don't hear. There's a case where the ball was clearly incomplete. The whistle would have prevented Largent from being hit on the ground.
Well, and all you have to do is tap him and he's down. But it's good news to see him up, because as I said, it's very easy with a shoulder rolled under like that to be compressed and just have that collarbone or the clavicle just go ahead and pop on you.
And he appears to be not seriously hurt. That's good news for the brilliant wide receiver star of the Seahawks.
You see that thumb on the tape. He's taped that thumb so it won't pop out of joint. He's got that foot all specially taped so that he can play with the pain in that foot. Yeah, you got to be tough in this business.
Rodriguez to punt. Hillary will return. He's back at the 40-yard line. 10 men on the line of scrimmage for the Bengals. Now they drop one off. Good spiral boot. Hillary at the 41. And down at the 44. And a timeout with it with 10 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the opening half. The Bengals have the lead, and the Bengals have the ball. Tomorrow it'll be Warren Moon and the Oilers against Jim Kelly and the Buffalo Bills. And there's 80,000 excited folks that have tickets for Rich Stadium in the action tomorrow. You'll be able to see it beginning at 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 o'clock on the West Coast. The Bears have beaten the Eagles 20-12 in foggy Soldier Field. Here it's 14-0 Cincinnati with 10:40 left in the first half. And the Bengals start in good field position. Ickey Woods running at will. Terry Taylor finally gets to him at the 26-yard line. Oh, my. The Bengals at will indeed.
You want to watch a great block. Watch Rodney Holman right here on Woods, Tony Woods, as he just drives him off the ball and keeps on going. Look at this block by Holman. Off the ball, stays with him. 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards downfield. It's no wonder that Ickey Woods has room to run.
30 yards to match his number. First down, Cincinnati. James Brooks goes the other way, and he's inside the 10. The jungle is wild.
Anthony Munoz sets the standards for the NFL as an offensive lineman, and Max Montoya has graded out in many cases higher than Munoz on the air. You see him leading out there in front of Brooks. And boy, they are just chopping Seattle's defense to pieces.
The only good news for Seattle here is they have to go almost the full 10. It's first and goal.
Small consolation.
Indeed. Wilson for his third is a yard short. But that line just blowing Seattle off the ball, and the backs having a field day. Here comes Ickey Woods in. They want him to score because they want to see the dance.
Jacob Green way upfield. And what you cannot do against this team, you can't leave gaps on the backside. They'll cut back anywhere along the line as they did on that play.
Woods and Wilson behind Esiason on second and goal. Ickey. He's not in. Well done by the Seattle backers as they filled the hole. Third and goal.
A couple of interesting things to look at. The hole opens briefly and then closes. Well, Ickey's got an opening on the back of his pants, too. Somebody stepped on him. Watch him reach out with his hand. He tries to stick the football over with his hand, and it almost got it torn out there.
Watch Como, 53. He's the one that stacks him.
Ooh, nice play. And Moyer, number 21, a strong safety that resembles a linebacker, getting the first hit along with Como.
Woods and Wilson again. Third and goal. Touchdown for Ickey Woods. Cue up that Guy Lombardo record. For Old Lang Syne, it's 20-0. And this one has routes written all over it at the moment. 7:40 left, first half. Reach makes it 21-0. 56 yards in 5 plays, and here's the sequence. Woods runs 30 yards. Brooks off the left side, 17 yards. Wilson gets 8 up the middle, and then a momentary stand by Seattle as they stop Woods a couple times at the goal line before he scores.
And Dick, it's very obvious that a Bengal team that was embarrassed in Houston a couple of weeks ago and had real trouble at home against Washington last week has found itself in that week off. And look at this smack by Woods, who keeps his presence, keeps that ball locked away. It goes down with Como on the sideline.
I don't know. Let's see how you go hop left, double hop right. I don't know. How would you?
Now, is it true that Paul Brown got down there and tried to duplicate that dance on the sideline? I'm sure we don't have film of that.
That I would pay to see. The 80-year-old Hall of Famer Paul Brown, great coach through all his career, brought the Bengals into the city of Cincinnati, their NFL franchise, 21 years ago, and still looking for that first Super Bowl trophy.
Well, I bet he's dancing right now in the press box at what is happening on the field, as are these fans here in Cincinnati.
The rushing story of this game, Seattle minus 6 yards, Cincinnati 149 yards. Didn't take long, 3 minutes even, for the Bengals on the ground all the way to score their third touchdown.
And that's a bit surprising, since you saw that Ickey Woods and Brooks are the #1 running tandem in the NFL. The #3 tandem happened to be the Seattle tandem of Warner and John L. Williams.
Lee Johnson will kick it to either Harmon or Edmonds. And he gets a good foot into this one. Edmonds in the end zone, going to take it out anyway. And he gets to the 19-yard line, ball down, but the whistle, I believe, yes, had blown the play dead. Well, we're just a couple, 3 weeks away from Super Bowl Sunday, Super Sunday on NBC. Playing their fans, got to be thinking about Miami. Well, the Seahawks figuring that the Bengals would be looking past, and Fulcher right there in the middle again. Nice story about David Fulcher. He, early in 1989 in February, is scheduled to adopt his niece and his nephew. His niece is 12, nephew 10. Their mother passed away a year ago. They've been taking care of the children. He says, at 24 years of old, I'm going to be a father. 12 and 10, he said, you know what? He said, they really... I said, what are you learning from? He said, learning that you got to live with being tired. Welcome to the club.
It's wonderful. And it wears us out, doesn't it?
2nd and 10. Underneath the Williams, knocked down immediately by Eric Thomas. A hard-earned 1 yard, 3rd and 9.
We talked about defenses stepping forward to be counted. Well, there's no question which defense stood up and said they're going to growl today, and that's the Bengals. They have been hammering all day long and just shutting down the Seattle offense. And we mentioned they had averaged 42.5 points a game the last 2 weeks of the season.
And this man, Dave Craig, is hot as any quarterback in the league. That's the Broncos and the Raiders. Down the middle of the field, no one there. He hit someone in the back. Good coverage by the Bengals again. Apparently it was Lewis Billups that was hit.
Trying to get that ball and forcing it into coverage to Brian Blades. Absolutely no chance. Look at the coverage on Blades. This is a bad choice by Craig. There's no way you're going to throw that football in there. You've got 3 Bengals and only one of your players with an opportunity at the ball. They're very fortunate it was not intercepted.
Indeed, Eric Thomas is right there, and it looked as if Blades quickly just flicked it away from him. It was right in the midst of Thomas. Rodriguez kicking to Hillary. Another good spiral. Oh, there's the chance for the Seahawks, and they recover at the 24-yard line. Jenkins, number 24, falls on the make at the 26-yard line. And for the first time, Seattle has a break, and oh, how they needed something good to happen.
Rusty Tillman, special teams coach for the Seahawks, totally frustrated in the first part of this game because his special teams, and they count on a big play out of special teams, have been outplayed by Cincinnati. Finally, the turnover, and there they go, right to the line of scrimmage.
That's the longest gain of the game for Seattle. Kurt Warner, like running into the proverbial stone wall. Nothing there but Tigers. And the Bengals deny him any gain of substance. A couple, perhaps. 2nd and 8.
An ankle injury for a back like Kurt Warner, very, very difficult. His strength is his cutting ability, and he has been totally ineffective so far in this football game.
Trailing 21-0. 5 minutes left, first half. Williams. And again. 4 or 5 Bengals around the ball. And just 2 more yards to gain for it. It appears that part of the scheme, Merlin, is to use Fulcher almost freelance, go anywhere he wants to. He's playing like a linebacker, lining up in the middle, lining up on the outside.
He's having fun out there. And I can tell you this, he's big enough that he can step right up in there and thump you just like those linebackers, and yet has surprising speed for a big man.
He backs off at the moment in a routine safety position, looking for a pass, 3rd and 6. Craig underneath to Williams, and the fullback is inside the 10 and belted out of bounds by Wilcox. It's 1st and goal, Seattle. 14 yards for Craig.
I'm sure that the Seattle coach is having visions of what happened to them in New England late in the season when they got 65 yards and 2 first downs on a cold and windy day there. This offense finally starting to crank a little bit here, and Knox with one of the few smiles we've seen out of him all day long.
Ball inside the 9. 1st and goal. Double tight end Larkin on the left side, and Williams might have been a fumble. And Cincinnati says they have it. They do. Oh my. Jim Scow, I believe, recovered the ball.
John L. Williams right into the den there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like 4 men in on the tackle. You can see them trying to run in behind Edwin Bailey and Ron Mattis. Shot right there, and it's Crumrine, number 69. And we talked about how tough he is on the inside, just knocking that ball right out of the hands of John L. Williams.
This guy from Wisconsin was drafted very late. I want to talk more about Crumrine. He's a special story, this Pro Bowl nose tackle. He is the man who made the play, denying Seattle at the 5. With 4 minutes left in the half. Ickey Woods out to the 9. Crumrine, brought from his home in Wisconsin here to Cincinnati where they live. In the basement of his home, he works out with a 90-pound anvil. Now, you can imagine a legitimate 90-pound anvil. It's tough to grab. He says because of the awkward nature of lifting that thing, the pointed end, the whole works. And that's where he does his exercises. And he still is upset about the fact that he wasn't recognized in the draft. It still haunts him. And he has proven his case.
Much like Steve Largent, they said he was too small, too slow, and they didn't really give him the opportunity. But now those are guys who set the standard for the NFL.
They beat the computer, didn't they?
You can't measure heart, Jim.
2nd down. The speed to get outside this big fullback. And finally out of bounds at the 15. Terry Taylor and Eugene Robinson again.
Very dangerous Icky, you got to keep your cool down there. You don't throw a football at somebody like that, even if they tap you out of bounds. I asked Icky Woods about the length of this season, and as a rookie player, this is like 2 college seasons back-to-back. You see Eugene Robinson, the man who's going to come and push him out of bounds. Here's the little tap that made Icky mad. And he is right close to the sideline, turned back. He was a little angry, but he hit the wrong guy. He hit Terry Taylor with the football. But Icky said, hey, even though it's a long season, I lift twice a week. My strength is up. I'm feeling good.
3rd and less than a yard. Stanley Wilson, left side for a first down to the 20. Well, the way the Bengals are moving the ball, Merlin, with 3 minutes to go, the drama of the rest of this half is the field too long for them to go all the way down and score again? Rusty Tillman, the special teams coach.
One of the most emotional assistant coaches in the league, but you got to have the emotion out there on the field, and you just don't sense it from this Seattle defense.
He had a brief chance with a fumble recovery on the punt. Esiason off play action is hit hard at the 11-yard line. Did he fumble?
Unless they're calling him down. The ball was fumbled and I believe recovered by Seattle.
No signal from Red Cashin. Apparently he was ruled down. Ken Clark jamming his way into the backfield.
Play action pass. And this has been so effective for the Cincinnati Bengals all year because of their great running game. There's the ball. That's a fumble. Without question, the ball is loose and loose. Well, it's just a matter of maybe Boomer got his hand on it and covered it.
No, that'll be interesting if they review that, because there was no in the grass. He hit him and the ball popped free. There was no time period in which Clark was engaged with Esiason. The ball was out. We'll see when we come back.
Turn this loose and watch Ken Clark come in and force the fumble. The ball is loose right at this point, and you see it on the ground. Now watch as Clark comes down. He does not know where the football is. Stop it right there. Esiason is going to reach back around and scoop that football out from underneath Clark's leg and back onto the other side. You'll see it after this next play. You'll see what happens to that football. Cincinnati ends up recovering it. Clark didn't know it was there between his legs.
Rodney Holman is the other Bengal involved. It is ruled a Cincinnati fumble and recovery, Cincinnati. So it's 2nd down and 19. Esiason hammered at the 15 by Tony Woods. Let's go back to the fumble and see how expeditious the Bengals were.
Looking from the other side of the field. There's the ball, and you see it loose. Goes in again. Now, look at Esiason. Just reach in. He'll scoop that football out, and with help from Rodney Holman, they get the football back. And not lost opportunity, a chance for Seattle to take that football back inside the 20-yard line.
3rd down. They've got a big one to convert here, a 3rd and 15. And don't get it. So with 1 minute and 18 seconds left in the half, Seattle will get the ball. And we'll watch the Seahawks in this situation down 21-0. Do they go after the punt? Bobby Joe Edmonds will drift back to the Seattle 42. Johnson, he has credited the fine snapping of Ed Brady. He said that's really helped me in hurrying my kicks away. Gets it back so fast. Look at that bullet. And Scansey came close. No flag. Great kick. Bobby Joe to the 50. And 1:06 remaining in the half. The Seahawks have all 3 timeouts. Flag down. Tackled by Barney Bussey. And it continues to go against the Seahawks. Blocking below the waist. Will nullify a 12-yard return.
Blocked below the waist during the run back. Number 91, 10 yards, 1st down and 10.
Darren Miller, free agent rookie from Tennessee. So they'll take it back to the 40-yard line. And emotionally, Seattle can't just sit on this. They almost have to try to get something before the half.
Well, there's not a lot left for them to do but to try and get something going. They've squandered their only opportunity after the turnover. They needed that to get themselves going. I think they've got to go deep. There's time here to get some points on the board.
Four wide receivers.
Talking about where the ball should be placed, are they? That might have been a personal foul call rather than a 10-yard call. That's what it was. They're saying a personal foul draws the 15 rather than the 10-yard.
That block below the waist is just as good as the old clip. That's a 15.
That's what it is.
So from the 35, Seattle begins trailing 21-0. Craig. Oh, not even close.
Well, they don't count on the first hop.
Wilcox, number 41, the safety man for Cincinnati, was the closest player to the ball.
A great deal of the press, a great deal of what was written and said by the Seattle players in preparation with this game dealt with the cold. And although they came in here saying they weren't worried about the cold, I wonder how much thinking about it and preparing for it took out of their preparation for this game and for the Cincinnati Bengals.
You see some of the remnants of some snow that fell here in Cincinnati a couple days ago. But even at this hour, from nearly 5:30 in Cincinnati, the temperature quite pleasant, around 40 degrees. Largent hit immediately by Ricky Dixon, the Bengals' #1 draft pick out of Oklahoma. Seattle not calling one of its 3 timeouts, so the clock runs. 3rd and 5. Craig going long for Largent, who can't quite get that right hand out there. Running one of his patented patterns. He's so magnificent in finding a way open. Well, with that bad foot, maybe not quite as fast as he should be, and Craig a little overthrown.
The trademark of Largent's patterns for years have been the blinding cuts, the ability to cut so quickly. And I asked him about that foot, and he said, when you're cutting off the ball of your foot, boy, you see him going to the sideline in pain. And that's exactly what's killing him here. The ability to explode out of those cuts and be there for that football just is not there for him.
Rodriguez, another solid punt. No one back for Cincinnati. And it's down at the 20-yard line. 40-yard punt, no return, 20 seconds to go, and then we'll be with NFL Live at halftime. With us at halftime, as the final seconds, still 8 seconds on the clock. Both teams are on their way to the locker room, and the Cincinnati Bengals will be aglow. 21-0 at the half. Seattle limps away. The Bengals unstoppable. And this second half kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Lee Johnson will kick it to the rookie Harmon and the veteran Edmonds. And the Cincinnati crowd with a 21-0 lead, enjoying it all. Edmonds into his own end zone. This time he'll take the touchback at the 20-yard line. Kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Lee Johnson will kick it to the rookie Harmon and the veteran Edmonds. And the Cincinnati crowd with a 21-0 lead, enjoying it all. Edmonds into his own end zone. This time he'll take the touchback at the 20-yard line. As we look at the first half statistics, a reminder that Seattle 4 times this year rushed for less than 100 yards and lost all 4 games. They weren't even close. In fact, they didn't gain a yard rushing in the first half. Apparently, we're having trouble with our graphic system, so we can't show you the first half statistics. Let's see if we can show you what happened on first down in the first half. 1.4 yards. That's everything, rushing and passing, to 7-4 for the Bengals. Well, you don't need to have much more than that.
That's not a fair division of the football, I can tell you that.
Craig to the sidelines, and it's the rookie Brian Blades who slips away and out to the 35-yard line, and a gain of 15. That'll bring a few cheers from his younger brother, Benny, the 22-year-old defensive back, was picked first by the Lions last year. Brian went in the second round to Seattle. They like him a lot.
We understand that Steve Largent, along with foot problems and thumb problems, now has a lower back problem. You see him trying to loosen that back up.
First down, Seahawks at their 35-yard line. A fake toss to Warner, and a throw back is the call. Well, now he has to throw to Warner. He was the second option. He looked to the left, and all he saw were offensive linemen. There were 3 out there. It would have been a great play if you'd had a receiver with him. But apparently the receiver had been knocked down. He had to go back to Warner.
Dave Craig is most effective, Dick, when he can run play-action passes. When the running game is rolling, it just really makes it a lot easier for him. He is not the kind of quarterback that can go back there in must-pass situations and pick out those second and third receivers comfortably.
A loss of a yard on the pin. Now, there are the first half statistics. Did you get it all, Merlin?
I know they were very one-sided for Cincinnati. I can tell you that without looking.
We'll give you a second look at it after this play. Craig to Blades. He's got his man beaten, and he's got the ball. No, incomplete at the 30-yard line. Lewis Billups able to close and make it tough. Almost a 35-yard gain.
In isolation, you see the excellent speed of Blades. That ball underthrown as Blades had been able to beat Billups down the sideline. But Billups getting there as that ball just forced Blades to break stride, and it breaks free.
Actually, a catchable ball. It was there.
Oh, that's the toughest catch in the world, though. Over the head.
Another long throw to Blades. Too long this time. He had beaten Eric Thomas. No, that's Ricky Dixon on the corner. Reggie Williams, the councilman. He was one of 6 who played on that 81 season team that went into the 82 Super Bowl for Cincinnati, only to lose to the 49ers up in Pontiac. And Ruben Rodriguez gets another chance to punt. Hillary, remember Muff the last one, he's back at the 20. Rodriguez is kicked very efficiently, and a fair catch at the 21. A flag is down. A 44-yard punt, but ineligible man downfield.
They're going to take it back. Sam White says that's a great kick. I don't think he can do it again. They were also very close to being into where they could touch that football and block it. Weiss really challenging it, and it's all right. You know, that's the kind of confidence that he has.
By the kicker's number 52, it'll still be 4th down.
There's the pressure right there, going for the point in front of the kicker, which is the blocking spot. Of course, you're seeing it in slow motion there, but
tight end Jim Riggs was the man in.
In full speed motion, he was very close to the place where he could have gotten a hand on that football.
So again, Rodriguez. Bengals, well, they're putting on a good rush. They're not careless about it. They know that Seattle, it's a time where a fake punt, they might try anything. They don't want to give them a wide open shot. This kick is shorter, but takes a bounce. And will go out of bounds at the 25-yard line. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, now we will show you the halftime statistics.
Well, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that if you look down the left-hand column, you're not going to find anything to make Chuck Knox or his Seahawks happy. 2 turnovers, very little yardage, and possession time 2-1 for the Bengals. Boy, that's domination of the kind that will get you a huge score on your side of the scoreboard.
And the Bengals, if they match their first half rushing statistics, will have something like 350
40 yards on the ground.
We talked about the ability or the inability of either of these teams to stop the running game, but it's the Bengals who stepped forward defensively, and they are the ones who shut down the running game of Seattle. And at the same time, Seattle has not been able to even come up to their average on the day. Ickey Woods, I thought Ickey might change those football pants at the half. Somebody stepped on his right hip, and it's got to be a little chilly down there. Those are briefs.
Jacob Green stuffing Brooks for a 2-yard loss on the first carry. Miller skips that one through the defense. Eddie Brown was the closest Bengal. And down goes Joe Nash again.
Well, it's that trick knee. And Sam, as much as Sam wants to complain, I got to be able to say, Sam, you push the rules and take advantage of them too.
They're taking away Matoy.
He's taking away. That's interesting.
And a timeout. Injury timeout. 13:25 left in the third.
Oh, Harold, it's lovely.
I hope you like it.
It reminds me of when we first got electric light back when I was a child. Oh. Daddy used to draw his chair up to that light and read to us. Oh, and memories. But Harold, this is the 80s. And I wanted a Bud Light.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Kill the light, will you, Harold?
Because everything else is just a light.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
The new Chevy Cavalier. With all the fun it gives you, it just could be one of the best bargains you've ever driven.
Ooh, the heartbeat of America.
That's today's Chevrolet.
I've tried it. Now I believe it. Denerex Tingles tells me it's doing more. Head and Shoulders, no tingle.
Both have dandruff medicine, but Denerex adds both an extra anti-itch medicine and conditioner, too.
Goodbye, Head and Shoulders. Hello, Denerex.
If you think I look good in this Van Heusen, you should see Jeffrey. After all, it's his shirt.
Van Heusen, for a man to wear and a woman to borrow.
Today's game is brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. By Gillette and the Gillette Atra Plus shaving system. Gillette, the best a man can get. And by AT&T, the right choice.
A time of reflection and of hope. New Year's Eve, 1988, and for the Bengals trying to finish off a great football year and look ahead to a Super Bowl opportunity as Eisen on 3rd and 13. Melvin Jenkins breaks up the toss to Collinsworth, and the Bengals will have to punt.
One of the things that Boomer Esiason has done so well during this year is to control himself in the pocket. The ability to drop back and sift in that pocket. Watch what happens here as the two guards are going to push both of these tackles to the outside, and Esiason is going to wait here, and then step up into the pocket to throw that pass. Well, no chance to show it. Maybe we can do it later.
Bengals wasting no time even in punt formation. Johnson spins one out there left-footed to Bobby Joe Edmonds. That one won't count anyway. A flag is thrown against M.L. Johnson. He thought he had his head in front, but the call will go against him.
I think someone is going to say, yes, he had his head in front. They may eat that flag.
Yeah, this is something that we applaud. The fact that officials 10 years ago they didn't do this. If the call was made, it stuck, even though another official might say, listen, I had a different angle.
I don't think they're talking about where they're going to eat tonight. I think they're honestly talking about where the head was on that block. And they're going to say it was not a legal block. Well, okay. But I know that was what the conversation was about anyway.
Illegal block during the run back. Number 52 of the receivers. It'll be first down at 10.
It was Johnson. You saw it clearly. He was the first man down to try to help out Edmonds. It'll be Seattle's ball. First down at their 25 when we return. 13 minutes left in the third.
You're looking sharp. You're looking good. You've come so far. And we know how to make the most of who you are. Father to son, it's what we've always done. To let the best of man begin. On so many faces, it's plain to see. We give you all we have to give, for all a man can be. Where the race is run, you're the champion. Gillette.
The Gillette Atra Plus system with the Lubra Smooth Strip for the best a man can get.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
The Chevrolet Corsica now has an affordable new hatchback, so you can get more into it and more out of it.
To the heartbeat of America.
Today's Chevrolet.
New Year's weekend, come home to the best in college football. Kick off the day with the Hall of Fame Bowl as the Fighting Tigers of LSU take on the Syracuse Orangemen to start off Championship Monday at 1 Eastern Time. January 2nd, the best bowls are on NBC.
Here's what the debate was about between the officials as we allow this to stop it right there. Now you can see that the force of the impact is here, but the head is behind Ed Brady. And M.L. Johnson, as he goes with the head behind, there's no way that the official cannot target him with a yellow flag. And even though he hit him on the front of the shoulder, he slid around the back, and he gets the penalty.
Cincinnati in command. Seattle trying to muster something. Warner gains 2 or 3 is all. Behind Brian Millard. Steve Largent with his injury troubles. And we'll watch to see whether or not the Seahawks will be denied their all-time wide receiver. You see Lewis Clark in there now, number 84. There's Largent on the sidelines. He says he won't make the official decision on retirement until next spring when all the emotions of this year have been well cleared. 2nd and 8 for Craig. Just got it there in time to Brian Blades. It'll be good enough for a first down in front of Lewis Billups. Now, that was a good call because he had gotten by Billups in the last sequence, so he gave him the deep move and then pulled up underneath to make the catch.
I think one of the things that will be said if this game continues on its present track and if the Seahawks are eliminated from the playoffs, how much different it could have been had this game been played in their home stadium, in the Kingdom. But you do earn the right to play these games at home, and you can sense the advantage it's given the Bengals here today.
On a draw, Warner. It just doesn't appear he has that burst that we know Kurt Warner. He had the hole in an opening, couldn't cut it loose. And he's out to the 42 or 3 short gain. Eric Thomas, another tackle for this second-year player from Tulane.
Look at this. Very interesting. Look at the low stance here by Crumry. How far his feet are spread apart. A most interesting stance. And on this play, Blair Bush is going to be injured, number 59. And it looks like Edwin Bailey, number 65, fell across the back of his legs. And, of course, that takes your starting center out of the ball game. A starting center who has got his hands full already with Tim Crumry. Well, I tell you, you got to have tremendous leg strength to get out of that stance, let alone play out of it.
Grant Fiesel is in there at center now. Oh, wide open is John L. Williams. No one picked him up out of the backfield, and he's all the way down to the Cincinnati 35-yard line before Solomon Wilcox could bump him out of bounds. 23-yard gain for Williams as they picked up the blitz, and there was no one over there to pick up Williams.
Coming right at you. Just a little play action fake. Well, somebody just bit on that one. 51, Leon.
White came from the other side of the field. It was Fulcher, the safety, who was on the blitz.
Yeah.
Craig throws it away. He was looking for Blades deep, but Blades made his break underneath to the sidelines. And he and his wide receiver will have a little communication now as in comes John Spagnola.
So many of the patterns require both quarterback and wide receiver to read the defense. And obviously both read a different defense on that particular play. And Cincinnati does some things defensively that will confuse a quarterback. They give you one look, and then they'll change that defense at the last possible second.
Williams. The 11 yards on the sack, the first of the game.
An accidental stunt, if you will. You'll watch Tim Crumry coming inside here. He'll end up tying up these two people, and Reggie Williams will drift over and then make the sack up in here. An accidental stunt just works perfectly right there. Crumry taking two blockers, and Williams breaking loose after the contact.
But it's again Crumry occupying two men almost every play, and two men not doing a very good job of stopping him. 3rd and 21. Oh, through the hands, and a flag will go down. Brian Blades, and apparently interference called against Cincinnati. I didn't see that one. That was Craig really throwing up a prayer because the man was well covered.
Pass interference, number 22 on the defense. First down.
That is the first penalty against the Bengals all day.
Eric Thomas, who's had such an outstanding year, you get the bumps, and there's no question about it. The hand on the stomach and the push at the last second. Well, they allow the incidental bumps, but if you push the man away, they will throw the flag.
Looks like the ball hit Blades right in the face mask.
I don't think Blades really expected that ball to arrive when it did.
I think the fans are booing because it appeared, even with a replay, he wouldn't have caught it even had he not been pushed. But the point is that Thomas did have a hand on it.
And it was a catchable ball. You see right there the push that directed him away, and it did change his momentum and change his pattern, and by the rules, that is interference.
Pretty accurate pass, wasn't it?
You're glad you got a face mask on when you catch one like that.
First down at the 21. The second time Seattle's been down there today. They fumbled on the 5, the other. And this man is the one who coughed it up, John L. Williams, a reliable fullback, who gets 2 off the right side. Jason Buck, the young defensive end, and Carl Zander, linebacker from Tennessee, made the stop.
You look at this Cincinnati defense, you find a lot of players on the upswing getting better. Jason Buck is one of them. Getting good pressure on the quarterback, doing better at the point of attack. Leon White is another. Fulcher and Wilcox and Thomas, Phillips, all improving in the way they play this game.
Sam White cheerleading on the sidelines, telling the crowd to get into it. He's trying to get them to make as much noise as possible. Williams, short pass. Boy, look at him fight loose. And I believe he has a first down at the 11-yard line. He ran through 3 tacklers before they were able to get him.
And that was the use of that power powerful stiff arm. John L. Williams has hands as big as mine and arms that are longer than mine. Now watch him use the stiff arm here. As he comes up, they've got great position for tackling, but he's just going to use that big, powerful arm. Watch it right there. Here it comes now. That's Xander. He just sticks that arm right in Xander's face and drops him to the ground, and then with his strong legs, pulls down that sideline. Boy, that is outstanding play by John L. Williams.
If you're going to open up the book on football and they define a fullback run, that might be it.
That would be it. And a stiff arm. That was indeed a stiff arm.
Well, that's succession of great number 1 running backs out of Florida. John L. Williams, Lorenzo Hampton, James Jones, who went to Detroit. Anderson up at Chicago, Neil Anderson. He's comfortably watching this one. One of the big 3 wins in the playoffs. Tucked away for the Bears. They're in the semis. First down on the 11. They can make a first down barely without a touchdown. Craig looking for 6. Ooh. Did he get it? No signal yet. The officials looking at each other. No one has signaled.
No one still has signaled. It looked like
incomplete.
They're saying the ball bounced off the ground.
This is remindful of a few years ago in Pittsburgh where they all looked at each other and Renfro didn't get the catch.
Leon White, the linebacker, looked to have maybe have gotten a hand on it. There's White, number 51, diving. I think it's a reception, Dick. I think it's a reception, unless it hits the ground. Unless it hits the ground, it hits the receiver, definitely. The receiver gets it into his hands right there.
And the official is right there looking at it.
Oh, he does. Okay. He's got great position on it. He does have great position on it. Let's look at this angle.
This should tell us. He gets it cradled, but we can't, well, then we're blocked by White himself. Here's the reverse angle. Well, that's one thing the instant replay has done. Boys, it created a market for instant replay machines.
Well, I agree with the call there. Tony Viteri in the replay booth has to be able to see something that would allow him to change that call around, to switch the call around. Can't be done in that situation because you really can't see it from the angles we gave you. And the official on the field, who had a great shot of it, was able to look at that play in live action. Here's another angle.
This is the 5th angle, and you can't really tell.
Those are 5. Now, that just, you don't see it. You can't tell.
And the man with the best view is the man who called it, the official on the spot. And I would just soon go with that. See, if you see that call replay and there wasn't the official in the replay booth, you just accept and you go on with the game. What has happened with the instant replay, we're getting these delays, trying to sort it out and make it perfect. And this is why I object to the instant replay. I hope it's part of the history of 1988. We start afresh at 89.
Well, there's a man who
likes it.
Likes the replay. You see how that's the best angle that we're able to give you.
But there wasn't a, you know, even the way he called it, it wasn't that definitive.
Replay official, the play stands. Second down.
Okay, had there not been a replay, that's how it would have been called anyway.
Knox is saying, hey, my guys are getting cold out there. If you're not going to give us the TD, at least let us go for it again.
He's a strong proponent for the instant replay. Second down. They're all coming. The throw to Blades. Great play by Billups. Louis Billups. He's a man who wears the enemy T-shirt under his uniform before every game. I don't know if he's got a Seahawks on now, but, oh, he was right with one.
Good hiccup by Kurt Warner of the blitzing Solomon Wilcott, number 41. But that is blanket coverage on the man-to-man by Billups.
3rd and 10. Underneath, the Butler stopped short of the first down. It'll be 4th and about 2.
And a tough call for Knox.
Are you
go for the touchdown here?
Yes. 8.5 minutes to go in the 3rd, down by 3.
Well, and maybe you elect to get something on the board. They're asking now how much how much distance is it?
Oh, he's going to go for the field goal.
No. He's putting the big boys on the field. Putting his short yardage team on the field.
So this is it. Knox figuring the way things are going, a three-pointer isn't going to do it. He needs to give his team a boost.
I think he's right.
Warner and Williams, and now Cincinnati calls timeout. And Seattle will welcome that.
I think they got too many men on the field.
Because the clock was already down to 3 seconds.
Yeah, they only had 11.
So Sam White saying, come on over. White has been using that same motion to get the cheering going. We'll be right back.
4th and 2.
Intercepted and then dropped. But the Bengals take over on downs. $20 Horton, 29 Dixon right there on the coverage. Boy, it went right through Ray Horton's hands and then right off the chest of Blades.
Very, very difficult to adjust to a football that has been touched by a defender that is traveling at that speed. Knox had sent in a running play, changed his mind, put 4 wide receivers on the field, but comes away empty.
Oh, you talked about the defense. One would rise today, and Cincinnati's offense impressive. We expected that, but the defense has been the equal. Hickey with about 8 more. And the Bengal bench love that 4th down play.
Now the Bengals talk about 2 goal line stands in their first game against Phoenix. One on the first series of that game and one on the last series, as really setting the tempo for their season. And White's saying again, we've done it again. Boy, their defense has risen to the occasion today.
Plenty of time in the third quarter, 7 minutes, 20 seconds. So a Seattle touchdown there would have given them reasonable hope. That emotional momentum swings back to Cincinnati. And Nicky Woods slamming out to the 15 and a first down.
Dick, some of the seeds for this kind of play by Cincinnati sown before the season started. Way back at the owners' meeting in Phoenix, as Boomer Esiason sat down with owner Paul Brown and Mike Brown and Sam White and buried the hatchet. This team was hurt so badly by the strike last year. The team torn apart. Boomer Esiason, the player rep, a strong player side. Sam White's the coach on the owner's side. And boy, things really popped around here. That was the first act that needed to happen to get this team back together.
And Boomer paid his own way to Arizona to have that conference. Wide open is Holman, and the tight end has a first down at the 39. Well, we saw him block, and he's got the speed to get open downfield. 6'3", 238-pounder. His cousin, Preston Pearson, you played against with Pittsburgh and Dallas.
Certainly did. I'll tell you, what a fine play there. And again, we talk about the time that Esiason is getting to throw that football. Strong quarterback, reads his receivers well. He doesn't have to read that one too well. There's all kinds of room on that throw.
Woods hiding behind that big line and just easing his way outside for 7 or 8 yards. There's Paul Brown on the left. The venerable coach, though he sure doesn't look 80 years old. He still runs or hikes his own way out of La Jolla and loves his golf game. And one of the masterminds of football going back to the days, Massillon, Ohio, Great Lakes, Naval Base, the Cleveland Browns, the Cincinnati Bengals.
I can remember wondering when I first came into football, why he sent the plays on with those guards. Why didn't he let the quarterbacks call them like everybody else? Well, he was just ahead of his time, wasn't he?
Second and short. And Wilson, who has a couple of touchdowns in the first half, has a first down in Seattle territory at the 48.
Dick, there's another chapter to what happened at the beginning of this season that was very important to Cincinnati's reversal and their turnaround. And that was that Sam White realized that this was a team that had been divided by that strike. He needed to get them back together. In training camp, he shuffled the rooming assignments. He divided the players' offense and defense. He just jammed them together. Black and white, he didn't care. He said, you're not going to room the way you have in the past. We're going to get to know each other. And a lot of the players credit that with bringing this team together.
To the 44-yard line. Joe Nash made the tackle. His knee seems to be better now. 21-0. Cincinnati leads. Seattle's had a couple of chances. Fumbled once in the 5 and stopped the second time on the 3. And running the football. Boy, the vines in the jungle have caught the Seahawks, and the Bengals running free. Running game and defense. Playoffs. Important part of the mix. Fake reverse. Brooks keeps it to the 41-yard line, almost the 40. That'll be short of a first down by about 2. Darren Como and Paul Moyer on the tackle.
Dick, we've talked about Joe Walter's injury last week and the fact that he was operated on Thursday. He said he spent 3.5 hours in a locker room, and a chance, of course, that he is going to be able to come back and play, but it's going to be a while. Now, there are his mates. They miss him sorely. Munoz coming across from the other side. He plays the other tackle. They were talking about wishing him the best and quickest recovery possible from that very severe knee operation.
Tosses to the tight end Riggs, and he's knifed down right at the yardsticks, the 38-yard line, by Eugene Robinson. Robinson certainly has distinguished himself today. He's had to make too many tackles, and that's been part of the problems for the defensive unit of Seattle all year.
Well, when your leading tackler is your free safety, you're not getting the job done up front. It's a credit to this man. He's hard-nosed. He plays a great game of free safety against the pass and run as well. But that's not the kind of stats you want to have if you're a defensive coordinator like Tom Catlin.
It is a first down at the 38. This try starting back at the 3. Supercharged out to the 32, maybe the 31. He's very open about his background. He grew up in a tough area, Fresno, California. His best buddy in high school, they were in a gang. He admits to that, and he's trying to tell something to the young people of this world. One day he went to see his best friend. He'd been shot 19 times and had been stabbed as well, was dead. He said, I might have that night have been with him. He said, that's the night that I decided I'd rather not lead that kind of life. Athletics took over, and here he is as a prominent rookie on this Cincinnati team. Boomer throws it away. Woods, by the way, has 100 yards rushing now.
Tempers beginning to flare a little bit on the field. Jeff Bryant, number 77, knocked down by Anthony Munoz. Bruce Reimers there as well. And Reimers, you might remember, injured in that last game as well. Went out of the locker room after the game against Washington on crutches, but has performed admirably here today.
Green gives away about 25 pounds to Munoz. Bryant, that is. There he goes again. Stanley Wilson. One thing about this offense designed by Sam White, he really mixes his material well. They all contribute. Everyone feels a part of it. 19 yards for Wilson, who gets the handshake.
You have to admire his feeling for this team. He was out there warming up before the game, running wind sprints with them, stretching with them. As emotionally involved a coach as you will find anywhere.
Here is Esiason calling out the play. A quick huddle. Woods. Oh! Just as he was breaking clear around that left corner, tripped up.
Paul Moyer, number 21, the man who was there to grab him by the toe. It looked like a huge open space. Watch number 21. A little counterplay as Ickey Woods goes inside and figures he can go all the way to the backside. Now, Moyer, 21. He's already been cut down, and all he can get, again, is that shoelace, but it was enough.
A gain of 1, 2nd and 9. Brooks stopped for a moment. Moyer gets him as well for a loss back at the 11. Bruce Schultz was the man who stopped him initially and forced him to redirect his route. And the field goal. No, they're booing now because there is another Seahawk down. This is Ken Clark, who has substituted for Joe Nash. Leading 21-0 and apparently going for more. Weiss not quite so upset by the ploy. Fights with this quicker no-huddle offense. Chuck Knox with his trick knee defense. Do you think that's really what he's doing?
There's no question in my mind that's what's going on. And all the coaches around the league are looking for a way to get their substitutes on the field and looking at the rule book, saying, what can we do to counter this? Well, I think that's what's been found here today. It's the trick knee defense, and it has allowed them to make their substitution at key points during the game.
3rd down and long for Esiason to Brooks. Wyman gets him inside the 5, and Brooks is to the 3. That'll be, I believe, a yard shy of a 1st down. The fans are telling Whites what they want.
Jack, it's a shame that the rest of Seattle's defense has not worked as well as the trick knee. They have not been able to slow down these running backs and wide receivers. They have not been able to get pressure on Boomer Esiason, and the yardage differential continues to grow.
They need to get just to the 1 for a 1st down, so it's 4th and a short 2. Woods and Wilson behind Esiason. Ickey. Going to be close.
Very, very close.
Final seconds of the 3rd quarter.
Weich's philosophy in these 4th down situations, and he has gone for it repeatedly during the year.
8 for 11, a remarkable statistic because almost all of those were in field goal range. They've gone for it.
Well, and he said very simply, look, if we can convert on 50%, 60%, we get a lot more points than we would otherwise. And he said our average is a heck of a lot higher than that.
Like the 3-point shot in basketball, you don't have to hit 50%. You're at 40%. That, in essence, is a 60% shot because of the extra point. He says, hey, let's go for the... And they've gotten touchdowns. They don't get the 1st down this time.
This one backfires, but look at the field position that it leaves the Seattle Seahawks in.
So they stop him on downs. It'll be interesting now. You know that Jerry Glanville of the Houston Oilers, Marv Levy, fine coach of the Buffalo Bills, they're up there watching this game, perhaps watching, or their assistant coaches saying, maybe one of us going to be playing here in Cincinnati, it appears, next weekend.
Well, they want somebody. I know who Cincinnati would like to have. We'll talk about that.
We'll be here, or at wherever the site may be. Seattle has a quarter to go. Williams, a gain of a few out to the 6-yard line, and that'll be the end of the 3rd quarter here in Riverfront Stadium, Cincinnati. 21-0 Bengals. We'll be back after excitement of the playoffs will continue tomorrow on NBC, 12 o'clock for NFL Live, Houston and Buffalo. We go to the 4th quarter in Cincinnati. 21-0 Bengals. The Seahawks pinned deep in their own end, 2nd down and 6. Craig has a man open, Blades, and a 1st down at the 30. Wilcox made the tackle. Brian Blades
made a fine adjustment, tutored by Steve Largent. One of Largent's cuts on that play. Well, the stats monstrously in favor of the Bengals. Look at that time of possession. Oof.
And that's with that so-called fast huddle. Or
I tell you, well,
not so. We've talked about that.
To Clark. To Wilcox. Intercepted Cincinnati. And now Fulcher has it. Or did they blow it dead? Yes, they did blow it dead back downfield. That ball ricocheting around the defense, and Solomon Wilcox and David. Oh my, Joe Kelly.
That may get you out of the ball game.
That should at least be a flag.
You bet.
Hasn't been thrown yet. He's one of the emotional guys on that Bengal defense.
Somebody going out to get him. Let's look at the play as the ball bounced off several of the Bengals. Wilcox there, Billups there. The ball inside to Clark. Bounces out of Clark's hand, tapped, and that's legal. Tapped a second time by Billups. And Wilcox right there to scoop it up. Now watch, Fulcher takes it out of Wilcox's hands and heads upfield. But the play had already been blown dead. And looking at it from the opposite side of the field, you see the tap. Boy, that's a tap drill at its best.
Meantime, the officials right on the spot with that Kelly forearm to the face mask, and no penalties were thrown.
Which surprises me. There should have been a penalty on that one.
Third turnover against Seattle to 1. Wilcox officially credited with the interception. James Brooks. There's Eugene Robinson once again. Final quarter. Seahawks battling a 21-point deficit, and that electronic timing monster as their season ticks away. And the Bengals showing why they had a share of the best record in football at 12-4, and were the top offense in the league. Assassin fumbles, and Seattle recovers at the 32-yard line. Joe Trickney Nash comes up with it. Well, the second time the Seahawks have recovered a fumble in Cincinnati territory. They fumbled it right back, you'll recall, in the first half when they had that chance after the muff of the punt. And we'll see if they can capitalize now. 13:24 to go.
There's still a lot of time on this clock, but not a lot of time if this Seattle offense can't get itself in gear and get some points on the board. Alonzo Mitz coming in from the backside, but it looked like Jacob Green possibly coming across from the right side, who got a piece of that football.
And Wyman and Green pinched him and forced the ball free. Green credited with the recovery. Or Nash with the recovery. Green credited with the sack. Underneath, Blades slicing his way through the defense to the 14-yard line. $17 yards first down. 4 catches, 70 yards for the rookie.
This young man has done everything they've asked him to do. Quick crossing pattern, time to throw it. Beautifully thrown right there in the gaps between the zones, actually in front of the linebackers who dropped deep. And at this point, I'm sure Cincinnati's saying, everything in front. Keep them in front of you. Don't give them the long play. Eat the clock.
Tight end. And it's Spagnuolo, the former Yale star and Philadelphia Eagle tight end. Caught more than 60 a couple of times with Philly. His first catch today. Billups and Emmanuel King on the tackle. 7-yard line, where it is 2nd and 3. A thought walk for the head coach of the Bengals. Draw to Williams, and the fullback is smothered by Fulcher. Also in on the play was Carl Zander. Tarzander, as they call him here.
Well, they've got Tarzander's sign on the far side and Fulcher's vulture sitting here somewhere, and he did pounce much like a vulture on John L. Williams.
No gain.
There are Fulcher's vultures standing in behind. Boy, he has pounced on some folks today, hasn't he?
Incomplete. Out of the hands of Brian Blades. It may have been deflected by Thomas. Blades was stung by a ball the last time Seattle tried to score, went through a defender's hands and caromed off his. Let's see if that's what happened this time. Eric Thomas on the coverage.
They're going to try and pick it up. It's 4th and 3. The last time they gambled, they were shut down.
They're 0 for 2. Inside the 10. This is their third chance. Fiesel knocked on his back. Completed pass and touchdown to John L. Williams. Boy, noise level dropped. It almost hurt your ears.
It quiet here, didn't it? Well, and finally something for Seattle's offense to cheer about. Long drought this day. Missed opportunities. Craig back. Throwing out of there to John L. Williams, who has been so effective as a pass leader on this team, and effective today in catching the pass. Gets it into the end zone. And David Fulcher limping off the field by one of the trainers as he heads to the sideline. Boy, that's one thing you don't want to see. Already stung by injury in the offensive line as Joe Walter went down. They don't want to lose Fulcher. He's such an important part of that defense.
And I know you're wondering how much time is left, especially you fans up in the great Northwest. 11 minutes and 40 seconds to go as Johnson tries to make it 21-7. Johnson has the extra point, and with it a timeout. Let's take another look at John L. Williams' reception. The big fullback who had 3 touchdowns in his 58 catches during the regular season. Big guy with soft hands and then the power to drive through Fulcher. Oh, man, that's Fulcher really pinned back on the force of Williams' dive to the end zone.
Again, to see where Fulcher actually gets injured. We'll try and stop it as John L. Williams drives over the top of Fulcher. Stop it right there. Whoa. Back it up just a little bit, guys. You see the extension on the leg, and you can see where his knee is just locked back underneath the body and bent to the extreme. He probably stretched the ligaments a little bit.
Well, that's where all those flexibility workouts help out, to be that flexibility to absorb that. Stanford Jennings out across the 20 to the 21-yard line. Jennings from Furman University, and that's the same alma mater of head coach Sam White. And they're going to have quite a celebration down there in South Carolina and Greenville to celebrate the Purple Paladins Division I AA national champions. They beat Georgia Southern. Quite a game. And one of the men proud to be a grad of Furman, Sam White, is sorry he won't be part of the fun next week. He thinks he's going to be busy.
Justifiable pride.
I guess we can all identify with that. We never lose our feelings for Alma Mammy. Now the Seattle defense will have to do something they have not done well all day. Stop Ickey Woods and Boomer and the offense of the Bengals. Well, Jacob Green applies the first touch. Little or no gain on that carry by Ickey Woods.
Trying to stack those backs up and strip at that football. Trying to take it away. Something that this Seattle Seahawks defense has done effectively over the years. But watch what they do here to Ickey Woods. They're not trying to knock him down. They're trying to stand him up. Jacob Green got the first one there, trying to hold him up. Listen to this one.
They have not done well all day. Stop Ickey Woods and Boomer and the offense of the Bengals. Ooh. Are they really trying?
That hurts.
Second down. Here's a big play for the Seattle defense.
And we have an injury. Surprise, surprise.
And with that injury, 3 defenders come on the field for Seattle. Well, White is yelling across the field at the Seattle coaching staff. Earlier, we thought we saw Knox with a long-distance rebuttal. You play your game, I'll play mine. 10:19 to go. Timeout. It's amazing. He seems to have the problem mostly when it's a passing situation for the Bengals, and Seattle like to get their package defense, their nickel defense on the field. On 3rd and 5, Esiason. Is it a legal catch? No, out of bounds is Eddie Brown. So the Seattle defense has held. Let's watch Nash 72 on this
chance to watch Nash right here. He's not going to be injured on this play, although I'll tell you, the possibility is always there for injury. Now, immediately after the play, I can feel it in my knee. Oh, just a second. It's the knee.
I hope he doesn't take his phone off the hook. Michael Weissman, our executive producer, might invite him to be part of the Super Bowl talent contest. Edmonds bobbles at the 24, 30, and down at the 31. Timeout. 9 minutes, 38 seconds left. Cincinnati, and talk about an expensive chance to see a football Fiesta Bowl. Oh, that should be a great one. We'll hope you'll be with us for our triple header on January 2nd. Now it's Seattle. Perhaps building momentum. They've broken the ice, and now Kurt Warner dashes out to the 39, a gain of 8. Reggie Williams drags him down.
Warner's first effective run of the day.
This telecast presented by the defense, and then flags fly. And let's go on then with business. Big Seattle and Cincinnati, all rights reserved.
Joe Kelly called for delay of game. Now, did that mean they had 12 men on the field? Did Seattle catch them on their own game there with a quick huddle? And
it might be a different interpretation there. Perhaps they were doing something verbally to delay the game.
Well, they're not allowed to call signals, and if they try and bark signals in there, they can also be ticketed for a penalty.
9 minutes to go. 21-7 Cincinnati. A game that's become interesting suddenly after the Bengals had dominated throughout. Oh, Williams wide open, but under pressure from Jim Scow. Craig overshot his target. Oh, what a story this guy is, Craig, from Milton College, the NAIA. You've all heard it. But a man who certainly was the longest of long shots to make it as a legitimate quarterback star in the NFL.
I think one of the things that has hurt Dave Craig over the years is the fact that he wasn't drafted, and it hurts his confidence at times. But he is as hot as any quarterback in football when he has things cooking.
And he is the leader of this team. Oh. Incomplete. And that one a little off the mark as well to Lewis Clark. But normally that'd be Steve Largent out there. Largent, his ace receiver, all-time in catches with 791, injured in the game and not in there in this critical part of the season.
Talking about Dave Craig, we have to ask the question, would the Cincinnati Bengals be hosting this game if they had lost their quarterback, Boomer Esiason, for 7 games during this season?
Largent with 790 more catches than Clark, who has 1. Wow, down 3rd and 10 on its feet. Craig got out of there and completes to Paul Scansey. First down at the 45. They got 11. And Scansey, who has made more than 50% of his career catches on 3rd down, gets another one. He was a star at Washington. Stayed right at home to play Pro Bowl after being drafted by Pittsburgh. And then Seattle took him from the Steelers on waivers.
Tim Crumry coming all the way around, gets pressure on Craig, who steps out of there. And Scansey, like Blades, trained so carefully by Steve Largent, trying to copy the master's moves day in and day out, and he's done a pretty good job of it.
Warner on the sweep. Well done by Wilcox on the corner to deny him any good yardage. A gain of 2 at best. Solomon Wilcox, who played at Colorado. Bright guy, he majored in English literature. No huddle. Down deep for Blades. He's got it at the 10-yard line. What a throw and catch, and a flag goes down.
I think there's a penalty at both ends. The Cincinnati defense had 12 men on the field.
No, but it's against Seattle.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. Well, there are 12 men on the field anyway. They'll be negating penalties, I would imagine.
Yeah, but Knox wanted more than that. He wanted the catch.
What happened?
He said they had 12 men on the field. He read it the same way you did, Merlin.
Well, that's the first flag that's upfield, but the second flag downfield, something entirely different. Seattle calls that their speed series. They've actually gone without a huddle in 2 earlier games.
Brad Cashin.
12 men on the defense. Pass interference, number 24 on the defense. Illegal motion, number 70 on the offense. They offset, will replay
all
it down.
3 of them. Boy, I tell you, the
5-yard penalty against the offense negates 2 Cincinnati penalties.
Let's go back and take a peek at that great catch by Blades. And it's a shame you don't have a chance to work out those penalties so you can get something out of this play. That's a tremendous... There's the bump right there. Ooh, big hit on that play by Barney Bussey, number 27. But it all goes for naught. Goes back to 2nd and 9.
Open downfield. Ray Butler, and the veteran has a first down at the 17. And Craig, who has been brilliant the last 2 games in the victories over Denver and the Raiders, showing that same kind of hot hand.
And although Seattle's defense has given up an awful lot of yardage in this second half, that score has stayed the same throughout the second half. And now Seattle, if they can pop this one into the end zone, a touchdown away from tying this ball game.
Well, they're not all Cincinnati fans. 32 yards on that last play. Butler was so wide open, even slowing down, he was able to make the catch. Craig underneath to Williams, and the big guy is down to the 2-yard line.
He may well have a first down.
They'll check the yardsticks, and now suddenly it gets a little nervous in Riverfront Stadium.
Well,
they will measure.
Turnabout is fair play. Sam Weich's attack offense has put Knox and his staff in a corner. They've come back with some answers for him. Here's that last quick pass, and look at the power of John L. Williams. 1 tackler, 2 tackler. Boy, look how much yardage he gained after they grabbed a hold of him.
Took it inside the 2. They'll stretch out the chains. Remember that measurement earlier today in Chicago where Jim Tunney took out looked like one of his credit cards there to see whether or not there was any distance.
Well, this one was not nearly as close.
And you know those officials, they got those big golden ones, those credit cards. First and goal for Seattle. Warner into a pile, can't get in. Ran up the backs of his blockers, and unlike that Cincinnati line that has consistently given the rushers for the Bengals a couple yards before they make contact, the Bengal defense has really been in an even match with the Seattle offense.
The Seahawks have done something they hoped to do here in the second half. They've quieted this crowd down.
They need to score in this possession, however, with that clock down near 6 minutes. Craig will run it in. Touchdown. Dave Craig, officially 1 yard on the scramble, and it's 21-13.
Craig wanted to go to the outside. Had a receiver out there, but no one open. He'll do it all himself.
Steve Largent, injured, is not seriously injured enough. He will hold for Norm Johnson. No good. He missed it. Oh, my. And one wonders whether or not Largent, not healthy, was able to give him a good spot.
Maybe we can take a look at that again.
What a heartbreaking miss for the Seahawks.
Steve Largent with a back injury, out to do what he has done for Norm Johnson all year. And you hate to change the battery. Let's take a peek at it.
Now the spot was fine. Johnson just missed it.
Well, Johnson has his own back problems. Has been kicking with a sciatic problem. I know there are a couple of guys with bad backs trying to get it up between the uprights.
That's the same end that Lohmiller of the Redskins hit the upright and missed. And you talk about that's the trap in the jungle down there. That's the.
You think somebody put a curse on those goalposts down there?
Those are Bengal posts. So Norm Johnson, after the Seahawks trying to muster what would have been a remarkable comeback and get them within a touchdown to tie, now they need 2 scores. 21-13, a missed extra point.
Another opportunity to look at that touchdown. Good block on this side by big Mike Wilson, number 75, who pancaked Jim Scow, number 70, put him right on the ground.
Craig diving into the end zone, and Norm Johnson, who had not missed extra point all year, counting the first one today, had made 40 in a row, misses perhaps the biggest point after of his kicking line. Going back deep, and now it's Brooks who goes back to the 3. James Brooks out to the 32. Good return. Dwayne Harper, rookie, makes the tackle. The Bengals in the second half with a 21-0 lead, understandably not taking any big chances. Punt. Took over and downs. That was the time they had 15 plays, went down to the 3-yard line of Seattle and were stopped on 4th and goal. A fumble and a punt. 21-13. 5:54 to go, and this is where a long, time-consuming ground game approach would be the answer for Cincinnati. Ickey Woods to the 30-yard line.
We've seen some interesting misuse, if you will, of the rules of the rule book today. People feel that Sam White stretches the rules with his attack offense, and we've seen what appear to be some interesting injuries today. Got to wonder what Don Shula, who's on the rules committee, would have to say about that. Maybe we can get somebody to get a chance to talk to him about that. I'd like to know what he has to say about it.
Well, in the postgame show, chain him down. Put that seatbelt on him, Bob Costas. I'd like to hear what Coach Shula thinks about all this. Play action, Esiason. Ooh, through the hands of Holman. Paul Moyer might have blocked the side of Holman. He was in front of the play, and it just slipped out of the big tight end's mitts.
Well, and there goes an injury.
No, Joe Nash. No, it's Ken Clark. The designated position. It's the nose tackle. Nash and Clark, it must be the position, have been hit with these rash of injuries. Trick knees.
Sam has begun to accept it now.
And you look over at Chuck Knox and those baby blue eyes of his, he just looks so innocent.
Well, this is 8th grade Sewickley, as Chuck would say. You meet a problem, you deal with it, you find a solution to it. And they have found a rather interesting solution to getting their defense on and off the field.
Well, while they attend to Joe Nash's knee, and who knows, he...
The resourcefulness employed thus far by Chuck Knox, because until they stop him from doing it, why not try it?
Well, first of all, you have to do things that are within the rules, and I think that everybody would say that this is outside of the rules, telling somebody to fake an injury, and I think it makes a farce out of the game.
Of course, what may happen next is that a doctor's note, just like one that gets you out of school, a doctor's note may be produced tomorrow by the Seattle physician, which shows us that Joe Nash was in fact hurt. Let's go back to Riverfront.
All right, Rodriguez to punt as Seattle successfully stops the Bengals, and also with the incomplete pass, stop the clock. Just under 5 minutes to go as Edmonds at his 30, slips at the 33-yard line. The other difficult part for the officials, about the time you call unsportsmanlike and somebody really has a serious knee injury, then what do you do? I mean, they aren't acting it out totally, because Clark and Nash, every time they've gone off the field, have walked off showing no limp, no outward indication that there's been any serious injury, and indeed they each have come back to play. 21-13, but for a missed extra point, this could be mighty interesting. Craig to Williams, unable to puck it away at the 48-yard line.
Conversation on the sideline, I'm sure, that deals with that missed kick. And I'm sure a great deal of pain in both of those hearts right at this moment.
John L. Williams, as the Seattle Seahawks have been unable to run the football, has caught 9 passes for 84 yards and 1 touchdown. 2nd and 10. The rush is on, and Craig unable to get it to Blades. He had to hurry. Good pressure from Jim Scow, who led the Bengals in sacks this year with 9.5. He's in his 3rd year from Nebraska. He'll be rooting for his Huskers on Monday night in the Orange Bowl against Miami.
At a time when many of the big men in the game pick up weight, he's fighting to stay at 245. He's got to be one of the smallest defensive ends in the league.
Yeah, listen to that crowd. 3rd and 10 for Seattle. Again, and the veteran Butler with the injury to Largent. Now they're going to call it a late call out of bounds.
I think what they're saying is he didn't get 2 feet down over there, Dick.
And Steve Largent, who is usually mild-mannered, didn't agree.
Let's see if he does get 2 feet down.
1. Nope, he did not. Good call.
Good call by the officials.
And they didn't need instant replay to call it. They called it right on the spot. So 4th and 10, 4:28 to go, and with you can see White saying, "Hey, the Seahawks need 2 scores. They may not be punting, so be alert. They're not going to rush the punter here. They're going to play for a possible fake."
Now they just keep the defensive team on the field and say, "You just assume that they're going to do something besides kick the ball."
Seattle, meanwhile, calls time. They're not going to punt. They're going to go for it. See now what happened. Rodriguez was sent in, and Craig, reluctant, stayed in the huddle. They had to call time. Craig couldn't believe that Knox wasn't going to go for it on 4th and 10. And indeed, as they had a chance to think it over here now, well, it's really playing tough odds if you think you're going to get the ball back twice.
Well, especially with the way the Bengals have been able to run the ball, although here late in the 4th quarter, Seattle's defense has come to life some.
Well, led by Craig's passing, he's 20 for 40, 228 yards. And even though at times, when you think back, the game seems so lopsided Cincinnati, the Seattle fans can look back and say, a missed extra point. Twice we were inside the 10, couldn't score. The old what ifs. Apparently, and indeed, Rodriguez does hunt it away. There's Chillery, and he clutches this one at the 27-28-yard line. New Year's Eve.
Craig obviously upset that they didn't have a chance to go for it on 4th down. He's still angry on the sideline.
Ickey Woods to the outside and out of bounds. That's the one thing he did wrong, going out of bounds. Stops the clock at the 48-yard line. 20 more for Woods, who's 120 plus. 123 officially, says Joe Costanza, our statistician.
Ken Clark, number 67, trying to get over to close that down, but They just, again, rip a hole, and Brian Blados doing a good job. That's Joe Walder's number on the side of Boomer Esiason's helmet.
That's a nice touch, isn't it? Those are the little things that leaders do not go unnoticed. Here's Esiason, the NFL's most valuable player, saying something to Joe Walder, the starting offensive tackle who's had serious knee surgery, watching today in a Cincinnati hospital, saying, hey, you're part of me, buddy. And that has a ripple that goes all through that offensive line and the team.
Now, this is one of those gut-level, working-man kind of quarterbacks. He fits in with that offensive line, and they are a real family.
3:23, 3:22, 3:21, and Bengals will let that clock run. Second down and 8. Woods again, short of the first down.
Dick, it would appear that this game will join an unhappy statistic for Seattle. Over the past 3 years, they're 1-5 in games where the temperature is below 40 degrees. And in their history, they've lost 10 and won 4 when the temperature has dropped down. There's no question in my mind, a hothouse team from a warm climate or an indoor stadium is really at a disadvantage when they come to the cold part of the country this time of year.
You speak from personal experience.
I speak from painful and very cold experience in some of those games myself.
3 minutes and a second left as Seattle has spent their second time out with a third down and about 4 to go. Well, as it's now become a well-known musical lyric, the road goes through, and in the case of the AFC, it goes through here. Cincinnati, the Bengals earning home field throughout, beating Buffalo during the regular season. So if they win today, it'll either be Houston or Buffalo here a week from tomorrow.
The Houston Oilers, the only team to really trounce the Cincinnati Bengal team, and they would love to get Houston back in here. And they said and have them bring their lips as well. They didn't like what was said after the game down there in the House of Pain.
And third down, it's Brooks inside the... And Vernon Dean, 31, made the tackle.
And now what do you do if you're Sam White? Going to be 4th and short. Do you kick the ball away, give it to Seattle here, or do you run with it?
Well, he appears to be pondering just that. Seattle will give him some time to think it over as they have called their final timeout. Stop the clock at 2:55, and you can feel it now that it is nighttime after 7 in Cincinnati, the temperature dipping down into the 30s.
Well, I know that owner Ken Behring, the new owner in Seattle, who's been so pleased with the late season surge of these Seahawks, was hoping to add something. He's got a great collection of antique cars. I think he was hoping to add a Super Bowl trophy. It doesn't look like it'll be this year, but he has to be proud of the gameness, if you will, of this Seattle Seahawks team.
Well, the extra point, not only the miss to lead 8 points to what that did emotionally to a team that was really building on some momentum, was so destructive. There's Ken Behring. Has something like $100 million in antique cars. He's developing a museum, and those can be shared by the public, and they will become gifts, I guess, to the public. Anyway, here comes Johnson's been on the field to punt, and boy, is he going to put Seattle as deep in the hole as you can get. Almost to the 1-yard line. Lee Johnson, who was drafted by Houston, kicked for them a couple years, then at Cleveland, acquired this year by Cincinnati. He's making the tour of the AFC Central.
Well, a knock against Johnson was that he was inconsistent as a punter. He certainly has had a fine day here today.
No timeouts left for Seattle. 98 yards to go, and 8 points down. Lewis Clark, the closest Seattle Seahawk to that ball.
Well, this crowd keeping the pressure on Seattle's offense. Some places they wave those terrible towels. Here they've got the terrible horns. And they really do raise a lot of noise with them.
That expression of between a rock and a hard place, Craig, is between some Bengals and a jungle.
Boy, I'll tell you.
That was an incomplete pass. His arm was going forward. And that's the signal given by referee Red Cashin.
I think it's right off someone's helmet. There's no question that that was a forward pass. Craig delivers the ball right here. Short arms it a little bit. Right off Brian Millard's helmet, number 71. And, of course, you catch that football. It's a live football. But no one touched it till it came off the ground. Brian Millard said, wait a minute, who's hitting me in the back of the head?
There have been times, as you know, in summer camps where some rookies have had a quarterback throw in their back.
They're saying they can't hear down there, I think. Well, what's new? It's been that way most all day.
Place certainly looks bigger than 55,000, doesn't it? Home of the Cincinnati Reds and the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a great major league city, Cincinnati, Ohio.
And interesting to me, Dick, this crowd that's been so much a part of this game. And I think one of the things that's happened in professional football over the past few years is that crowds have become more sophisticated in knowing how they can help their teams, and knowing how much they can intimidate a quarterback and an offense by making it almost impossible for them to get their signals called and their audibles called.
Well, and how about coaches becoming more in tune with that? Can you imagine in your day, your head coach, as Sam White has done today, turning to the crowd, waving his hand, saying, come on, crowd, let's get going. That didn't happen.
It's a reality.
3rd and 10. In the hole. Craig does get it out to the 9 to Clark, short of the first down, smothered there by Thomas and Kelly. It'll be 4th down and 2.
They may not be able to get this off before the 2-minute warning.
2:09. They're not saving that much by hurrying, but they get the first down to Blades out at the 18. And well, there goes the 2-minute ticker. They did save themselves a play. Well, there's the 2-minute timeout. 2 minutes to go. And the Seahawks looking for a big miracle. Nathanson, our producer Larry Cirillo, Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen, final 2 minutes. 21-13 Cincinnati. No timeouts left for the Seahawks. We have a first down at their 18. To the sidelines, and John L. Williams snares another. Boy, what nice hands he has, and that was a well-executed pass play, good for 16.
In this kind of game, your players with extraordinary ability have to come through with big plays. Well, John L. has done his part today. He just hasn't had enough company.
10 catches, 100 yards for Williams today in receptions. The key, though, to the game has been Cincinnati did not allow Seattle to run. Unless backwards. Seattle fighting to get back over the ball. They have no timeouts left. And, of course, Cincinnati's going to straggle back. They want to let that clock tick away.
Now you work at controlling the ball, and you can do it legally.
Flag down. That'll be against Seattle, and that'll negate that reception by Blades. It appeared left tackle Ron Mattis pulled back before the snap, and the noise may have been a helpful cause. There it is, illegal motion. For Seattle today, it wasn't until the second half till grades started to rise.
70 on the offense.
Ron Mattis, indeed, just
Still second down.
victimized by the noise machine here in the jungle. 50% thrower was Craig, and that's quite good considering how it all started. Intercepted twice, 1 touchdown. Warner only 11 yards rushing. Williams, again the star. He led the team in receptions during the year. Had 10 today. Esiason only threw 19 times.
Well, when you're running that effectively, when you're running the ball that well, you don't have to throw the football much.
Best rushing team in the league. Craig got away and throws for Williams, who makes a one-handed catch and spins down to the 45. The clock will run. Couldn't get out of bounds, or didn't elect to. And Craig hustling his team like a man trying to herd his cattle.
What a great catch. Boy, I'll tell you, those big hands of John L. just cradling that football as he spun around.
11th catch of the day. This one is thrown over the head of Butler. Stops the clock with 1:04. Wilcox and Dixon on the coverage, and there's Norm Johnson. And in a way, kind of an ugly sort of thought, it would almost be a shame if the final score of this game was 21-20. I say that from a Seattle perspective. For you Cincinnati fans, hey, apparently this is going to be your night to celebrate. Having to work the sidelines, and of course the Bengals defense playing it that way makes it all the tougher.
Dick, your comment about Norm Johnson, appropriate, I think, but this is a Seattle team, and it's part of Knox's philosophy that wins and loses together. You won't see fingers pointed at Norm Johnson. You won't hear them say, gee, if Largent had been able to get a better hold on that ball. There have been so many opportunities for this team today for so many people to do things that have not been done that I'm sure Knox will be saying very succinctly, we lost this football game together.
And let's hope we see Largent again. What a thrilling player he's been. Williams almost makes another acrobatic play. And now we're to 4th down, Seattle. 4th and 10. Oh, almost made a one-handed stab. Along with Messrs. Nathanson and Cirillo downstairs and their crew up here. Schwarberg, Kidd, Bendesky, Lambert, Costanza, thanks for your help. Bill Olson helping Merlin and keeping an eye on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Fourth and 10. And that'll be it for Cincinnati. Now they can truly celebrate. As Sam White's finally earned his stripes. Almost fired. They said he was working on a 7-day contract this year. They started off 6-0, and folks started to believe. And now the Bengals are down to the Final Four and will host the AFC Championship. And a man we'll look forward to seeing again is our Budweiser Most Valuable Player today, rookie Ickey Woods. He can dance. He can even lead the orchestra. And Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of the MVPs selected this weekend.
From Buggles to Bengals in a single year, and that's a big jump.
We understand now it's been decided by the NFL office. The championship game will be held here at 12:30, and the late game will be in Chicago next week. Paul Brown
He is one victory away from a Super Bowl, and Steve Largent, who courageously came on to hold the greatest pass receiver in the history of the game statistically. Sad sight.
There was no handshake by the coaches after the game. Maybe that's appropriate with the kind of information and looks going back and forth across the field.
And I'm anxious. We're going to get Boomer Esiason. Don't wander away. We're going to ask Boomer Esiason the feeling of the Bengals about the ploy used apparently by Seattle in using the trick knee. 21-13 the final. We'll be right back. In last place in the AFC Central with only 4 wins. This year, they're in the AFC Championship game. And Sam White and Boomer Esiason. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam, well, you don't trick a magician very often. The audience doesn't get you, but your players fooled you at the end.
I know. I knew they were going to get me with the water right after the game, and I looked around. As soon as it started to tick down, I turned left, and the sucker came up from the right.
All right, on a more serious note, the fact that your opposing coach today, Chuck Knox, took away your quick huddle.
Well, you know, I'm not sure I agree with that one. He did take it away. I'm not sure I agree with the tactics. Maybe something will be reviewed on that one. But obviously, when a player gets hurt only on third down the entire football game, that's their tactic. But we've got a pretty good no-huddle offense. They had a pretty good way to stop it, and I guess it worked today for them.
But we'll let you get back in the locker room with your team and dry off, and we'll talk with Boomer. Congratulations on a great year. And to you, most valuable player, as voted by AP.
Well, it wasn't really a most valuable player performance. I just thank God for Lee Johnson, our punter, our defense, and our running game, to tell you, because our passing game really wasn't on too well today.
Well, Boomer, you didn't need to pass much. Your running game was cooking today.
Well, I'll tell you, our offensive line did a heck of a job. They've done it all year long. Ickey Woods, Stanley Wilson. I couldn't be happier for a player other than Stanley Wilson. And James Brooks all ran with authority, and when they got up in there, they punished some of the defenders.
Well, you had to be proud of Brian Blanos in there, too.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know if anybody noticed, but a lot of us had 63 in honor of Joe Walter, our right tackle, and Blades is his best friend, and he came in and he did the job for Joe. And I remember Blado saying before the game, let's win this one for Joe. So, Joe, this one's for you.
That was a nice touch, Boomer. Again, congratulations. We'll see you a week from tomorrow.
Sounds good.
The Bengals are in the AFC Championship. NFL Live will continue after these words from your local station.
Away falls incomplete, and the Bengals celebrate. They'll host the AFC Championship game against either the Bills or the Oilers a week from tomorrow. This is the Budweiser NFL Report, brought to you by Budweiser and Bud Light, who will also bring you Bud Bowl 1 coming January 22nd on NBC. A quick wrap-up here, folks. Bob Costas with Gail Gardner and Coach Don Shula. Earlier today in the Fog, Chicago advances to the NFC title game, which they will host against either Minnesota or San Francisco. They beat the Eagles 20-12, and in this one, Cincinnati 21 and Seattle 13. A couple of quick keys.
Well, Cincinnati had a chance to put the game away, and they didn't. They had an opportunity to intercept in the end zone when Seattle was moving down there, and they dropped the interception. They have good position on this, and if they intercept here, they could go all the way. 102, you could see them breaking clear right there. Then they move from their own 2-yard line. They move it all the way down the field, and Sam, at this time, elects to go for it on 4th down. The Seattle defense rises to the occasion. They stop them, and then they get back into the ball game by scoring 2 touchdowns, although they missed the critical PAT.
Yeah, Craig threw for one, ran for another, but then Norm Johnson, normally very reliable, misses the extra point, and that changed the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game. You got to agree, though, with your counterpart, Sam Weiss. It's very suspicious when a guy only gets injured, as Joe Nash did on 3rd and long.
I'm sure that's going to be talked about and looked into.
Now, Gail, we must tip our cap in your direction because the first weekend of the season, when asked to pick the AFC champion, you picked the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl. You're 1 game away from having that prediction come true.
Pretty good. This game today, though, obviously decided on the ground, Bob. You have a team, Cincinnati Bengals, they rushed for over 260 yards. Seahawks held to 15 yards on the ground. They've been terrible against the rush this season, and they proved it again today.
Ickey Woods.